So Brahma Samhita, no? I can see where is it? There it is. Okay. You chant the Sanskrit first, no? Complete. Yeah. Translation first. Oh. Okay. Okay. So five. Okay. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme supreme Godhead. It's interesting because this is Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati's translation, And Prabhupada said they could correct the spelling mistakes, but beyond that, practically speaking, nothing they should change. This was like, even though it's 19th century English sometimes. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme Godhead. He has an eternal, blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, and he is the prime cause of all causes. The spiritual place of transcendental pastimes of Krishna is portrayed in the second verse. The super excellent station of Krishna, which is known as Gokula, has thousands of petals, and a corolla like that of a lotus sprouted from a part of his infinity aspect. The whirl of the leaves being the actual abode of Krishna. My goodness. Yeah. The whirl of that transcendental lotus is the realm wherein dwells Krishna. It is a hexagonal figure, the abode of the indwelling predominating aspects of the Absolute. Like a diamond, the central supporting figure of self-luminous Krishna stands as the transcendental source of all potencies. The holy name, consisting of 18 transcendental letters, is manifested in a hexagonal figure with sixfold divisions. The whirl of that eternal realm Goloka is a hexagonal abode of Krishna. Its petals are the abodes of the gopis, who are part and parcel of Krishna, to whom they are most lovingly devoted, and are similar in essence. The petals shine beautifully, like so many walls. The extended leaves of that lotus are the garden-like dham, that is, spiritual abode of Sri Radhika, the most beloved of Krishna. The surrounding external plane of Gokula is described in this verse. There is a mysterious quadrangular place named Shwetadweep surrounding the outskirts of Gokula. Shwetadweep is divided into 4 parts on all sides. The abode of Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha are separately located in each of these 4 parts. These 4 divided abodes are enveloped by the fourfold human requirements such as piety, wealth, passion, and liberation, as also by the 4 Vedas, viz., Rig, Sama, Yajur, Atharva, which deal with the mantra and which are the bases of achievements of the fourfold mundane requirements. 10 tridents are fixed in the 10 directions, including the zenith and nadir. The 8 directions are decorated with 8 jewels of Mahapadma, Padma, Shankha, Makara, Kachapa, Mukunda, Kunda, and Nila. There are 10 protectors, Dikpalas, of the 10 directions in the form of mantra. The associates of the hues of blue, yellow, red, and white, and the extraordinary potencies bearing the names of Vimala, etc., shine on all sides. My goodness.
The Lord of Gokula is the transcendental supreme Godhead, the own self of eternal ecstasy. He is the superior of all superiors and is busily engaged in the enjoyment of the transcendental realm and has no association with his mundane potency.
Is the microphone on? Yeah. Okay, it is.
Krishna never consorts with his illusory energy. Still, her connection is not entirely cut off from the absolute truth. When he intends to create the material world, the amorous pastime in which he engages by consorting with his own spiritual chit potency Rama, by casting his glance at the deluding energy in the shape of sending his time energy is an auxiliary activity. The secondary process of association with Maya is described. Rama Devi, the spiritual Chit potency, beloved consort of the Supreme Lord, is the regulatrix of all entities. The divine plenary portion of Krishna creates the mundane world. At creation, there appears a divine halo of the nature of his own subjective portion, Swamsha. This halo is divine Shambhu, the masculine symbol or manifested emblem of the Supreme Lord. This halo is the dim twilight reflection of the supreme eternal effulgence. This masculine symbol is the subjective portion of the divinity who functions as the progenitor of the mundane world, subject to the supreme regulatrix, Niyati. The conceiving potency in regard to mundane creation makes her appearance out of the supreme regulatrix. She is Maya, the limited, non-absolute apara potency, the symbol of mundane feminine productivity. The intercourse of these two brings forth the faculty of perverted cognition, the reflection of the seed of the procreative desire of the Supreme Lord. All offspring of the consort of the great Lord Maheshwara of this mundane world are of the nature of the embodiment of the mundane masculine and feminine generative organs. The person embodying the material causal principle, namely the great Lord of this mundane world, Maheshwar, Shambhu, in the form of the male generating organ, is joined to his female consort, the limited energy Maya, as the efficient causal principle. The Lord of the world, Mahavishnu, is manifest in him by his subjective portion in the form of his glands.
The Lord of mundane world, Mahavishnu, possesses thousands of heads, eyes, hands. He is the source of thousands of avatars in his thousands of subjective portions. He is the creator of thousands of individual souls. The same Mahavishnu is spoken of via the name of Narayana in this mundane world. From that eternal person has sprung the vast expanse of water of spiritual causal ocean. The subjective portion of Sankarshana, who abides in Parayoma, the above supreme Purusha with thousands of subjective portions, reposes in the state of divine sleep, Yoga Nindra, in the water of spiritual causal oceans. The spiritual seed of Sankarshana existing in the pores of skin of Mahavishnu are born as so many golden sperms. These sperms are covered with 5 great elements. The same Mahavishnu entered into each universe as his own separate subjective portions. The divine portions that entered into each universe are possessed of his majestic extensions, and they are the eternal universal soul Mahavishnu, possessing thousands of heads. The same Mahavishnu created Vishnu from his left limb, Brahma, the first progenitor of being, from his right limb, and from the space between his 2 eyebrows, Shambhu, the divine masculine manifested halo.
The function of Shambhu in relation to Jivas is that this universe, enshrining the mundane egotistic principle, has originated from Shambhu. Thereupon the same great personal Godhead, assuming the threefold forms of Vishnu, Prajapati, and Shambhu, entering into the mundane universe, plays the pastimes of preservation, creation, and destruction of this world. This pastime is contained in the mundane world. Hence, it being perverted, the Supreme Lord, identical with Mahavishnu, prefers to consort with the goddess Yoga Nidra, the constituent of his own spiritual Chit potency, full of the ecstatic trance of eternal bliss appertaining to his own divine personality. When Vishnu, lying in the ocean of milk, wills to create this universe, a golden lotus springs from his navel pit. The golden Lotus with its stem is the abode of Brahma, representing Brahma Loka or Satya Loka. Before their conglomeration, the primary elements in their nascent state remained originally separate entities. Non-application of the conglomerating process is the cause of their separate existence. Divine Mahavishnu, primal Godhead, through association with his own spiritual chit potency, moved Maya, and by the application of the conglomerating principle creates those different entities in their state of cooperation. And after that, he himself consorted with Yoga Nidra by way of his eternal dalliance with the spiritual chit potency. By conglomerating all those separate entities, he manifested the innumerable mundane universes and himself entered into the inmost recess of every extended conglomerate, Virad Vigraha. At that time, those jivas who had lain dormant during the cataclysm were awakened.
The same jiva is eternal and is for eternity, and without a beginning joined to the Supreme Lord by the tie of an eternal kingship. He is transcendental spiritual potency. The divine lotus, which springs from the navel pit of Vishnu, is in every way related by the spiritual tie with also all the souls, and is the origin of the four-phase Brahma, versed in the four Vedas. On coming out of the lotus, Brahma, being guided by the divine potency, turned his mind to the act of creation under the impulse of previous impressions, but he could see nothing but darkness in every direction. Then the goddess of learning Saraswati, the divine consort of the Supreme Lord, said thus to Brahma, who saw nothing but gloom in all directions, O Brahma, this mantra, viz. Klim Krishnaya Govindaya Gopijana Vallabhaya Swaha, will assuredly fulfill your heart's desires. O Brahma, do thou practice spiritual association by means of this mantra, then all your desires will be fulfilled.
Brahma, being desirous of satisfying Govinda, practiced the cultural acts for Krishna in Goloka. Lord of Septadipa, for a long time, his meditations ran thus. There exists a divine lotus of 1,000 petals, augmented by millions of filaments in the transcendental land of Goloka. On its whirl, there exists a great divine throne on which is seated Sri Krishna, the form of eternal effulgence of transcendental bliss, playing on his divine flute resonant with the divine sound, with his lotus mouth. He is worshipped by the enormous milkmaids with their respective subjective portions and extensions, and also by his external energy, who stays outside, embodying all mundane qualities. Then Gayatri, mother of Vedas, being made manifest, i.e. imparted by the divine sound of the flute of Sri Krishna, entered into the lotus mouth of Brahma, born from himself through his 8 ear holes. The lotus-born Brahma, having received the Gayatri, sprung from the flute song of Sri Krishna, attained the status of the twice-born, having been initiated by the Supreme Primal Preceptor, Godhead himself. Enlightened by the recollection of the Gayatri, embodying the 3 Vedas, Brahma became acquainted with the expanse of the ocean of truth. Then he worshipped Sri Krishna, the essence of all Vedas, with this hymn. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor who is tending the cows, yielding all desire in a bodies built with spiritual gems, surrounded by millions of purpose trees, always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis or Gopis. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is adept in playing on his flute with blooming eyes like lotus petals, with head decked with peacock's feather, with the figure of beauty tinged with the hue of blue clouds, and his unique loveliness charming millions of cupids.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, round whose neck is swinging a garland of flowers beautified with the moon locket, whose 2 hands are adorned with the flute and jeweled ornaments, who always revels in pastimes of love, whose graceful threefold bending form of Shyama Sundara is eternally manifest. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose transcendental form is full of bliss, truth, substantiality, and is thus full of the most dazzling splendor. Each of the limbs of that transcendental figure possesses in himself the full-fledged functions of all the organs, and eternally sees, maintains, and manifests the infinite universes, both spiritual and mundane. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is inaccessible to the Vedas, but obtainable by pure, unalloyed devotion of the soul, who is without a second, who is not subject to decay, is without a beginning, whose form is endless, who is the beginning and the eternal Purusha, yet he is a person possessing the beauty of blooming youth. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, only the tip of the toe of whose lotus feet is approached by the yogis who aspire after the transcendental and betake themselves to pranayama by drilling the respiration, or by the jnanis who try to find out the non-differentiated Brahman by the process of elimination of the mundane extended over thousands of millions of years. He is an undifferentiated entity, as there is no distinction between potency and the possessor thereof. In his work of creation of millions of worlds, his potency remains inseparable. All the universes exist in him, and he is present in his fullness in every one of the atoms that are scattered throughout the universe at one and the same time. Such is the primeval Lord whom I adore.
I adore the same Govinda, the primeval Lord, in whose praise men who are imbued with devotion sing the mantra suktas told by the Vedas. By gaining their appropriate beauty, greatness, thrones, conveyances, and ornaments. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, residing in his own realm, Gokula, with Radha, resembling his own spiritual figure, the embodiment of the ecstatic potency possessed of the 64 artistic activities in the company of her confident Sakhis, embodiments of the extension of her bodily form, permeated and vitalized by his ever blissful spiritual rasa. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is Syama Sundar, Krishna himself, with inconceivable, innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts with the eye of devotion tinged with the self of love. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who manifested himself personally as Krishna and the different avatars in the world in the forms of Rama, Nrsimha, Vamana, etc. as the subjective portions. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose effulgence is the source of the non-differentiated Brahman, mentioned in the Upanishads, being differentiated from the infinity of glories of the mundane universe, appears as the indivisible, infinite, limitless truth.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is the absolute substantive principle, being the ultimate entity in the form of the support of all existence, whose external potency embodies the threefold mundane qualities, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, and diffuses the Vedic knowledge regarding the mundane world. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose glory ever triumphantly dominates the mundane world by the activity of his own pastimes, being reflected in the mind of recollecting souls as the transcendental entity of ever blissful cognitive rasa. Lowest of all is located Devi Dhama, mundane world. Next above it is Mahesh Dham, the abode of Mahesha. Above Mahesh Dham is placed Hari Dham, abode of Hari, and above them all is located Krishna's own realm named Goloka. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who has allotted their respective authorities to the rulers of those graded realms. The external potency Maya, who is of the nature of the shadow of the Chit potency, is worshipped by all people as Durga, the creating, preserving and destroying agency of this mundane world. I adore the primeval Lord, Govinda, in accordance with whose will Durga conducts herself. Just as milk is transformed into curd by the action of acids, but yet the effect curd is neither same as nor different from its cause, milk. So I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, of whom the state of Shambhu is a transformation for the performance of the work of destruction.
The light of one candle being communicated to other candles, although it burns separately in them, it is the same in its quality. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who exhibits himself equally in the same mobile manner in his various manifestations.
I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who, assuming his own great subjective form, who bears the name of Shesha, replete with the all-accommodating potency, and reposing in the causal ocean with the infinity of the world in the pores of his hair, enjoys creative sleep, Yoga Nidra. Brahma and other lords of the mundane worlds, appearing from the pores of hair of Mahavishnu, remain alive as long as the duration of one exhalation of the later Mahavishnu. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, of whose subjective personality Mahavishnu is the portion of portion. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, from whom the separated subjective portion Brahma receives his power for the regulation of the mundane world, just as the sun manifests some portion of his own light in all the effulgent germs that bear the name of Suryakanta, etc. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, whose lotus feet are always held by Ganesha upon the pair of tumuli protruding from his elephant head, in order to obtain power for his function of destroying all the obstacles on the path of progress of the three worlds. The three worlds are composed of the 9 elements: fire, earth, ether, water, air, direction, time, soul and mind. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, from whom they originate, in whom they exist, and into whom they enter at the time of the universal cataclysm.
The sun, who is the king of all the planets, full of infinite effulgence, the image of the good soul, is as the eye of this world. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, in pursuance of whose order the sun performs his journey, mounting the wheel of time. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, by whose conferred power are maintained the manifested potencies that are found to exist of all virtues, all vices, the Vedas, the penances, and all jivas, from Brahma to the meanest insect. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who burns up to their roots all fruitive activities of those who are imbued with devotion, and impartially ordains for each the due enjoyment of the fruits of one's activities of all those who walk in the path of work in accordance with the chain of their previously performed works, no less in the case of the tiny insect that bears the name of Indragopa than in that of Indra, the king of the Devas. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, the meditators of whom, by meditating upon him under the sway of wrath, amorous passion, natural friendly love, fear, parental affection, delusion, reverence, and willing service, attain to bodily forms befitting the nature of their contemplation. I worship that transcendental seat known as Shweta-deep, whereas the loving consorts, the Lakshmis, in their unalloyed spiritual essence, practice the amorous service of the Supreme Lord, Krishna, as their only lover. where every tree is a transcendental purpose tree, where the soil is a purpose gem. All water is nectar, every word is a song, every gate is a dance, the flute is the favorite attendant, effulgence is full of transcendental bliss, and the supreme spiritual entities are all enjoyable and tasty, where the numberless milk cows always emit transcendental oceans of milk, where there is eternal existence of transcendental time, who is ever present and without past or future, and hence is not subjected to the quality of passing away even for the space of half a moment. That realm is known as Goloka, only to a very few self-realized souls in this world.
On hearing these hymns contain the essence of the truth, the Supreme Lord Krishna said to Brahma, Brahma, if you experience the inclination to create offspring by being endowed with the real knowledge of the glory of Godhead, listen. My beloved, from me to this science set forth in the following 5 shlokas. When the pure spiritual experience is excited by means of cognition and service, bhakti, super excellent, unalloyed devotion characterized by love for Godhead is awakened toward Krishna, the beloved of all souls. The highest devotion is attained by slow degrees by the method of constant endeavor for self-realization with the help of scriptural evidence, theistic conduct, and perseverance in practice. Yet, these preliminary practices of devotion, sadhana bhakti, are conducive to the realization of loving devotion, than whom there is no superior well-being, who goes hand in hand with the attainment of the exclusive state of supreme bliss, and who can lead to myself. Abandoning all meritorious performances, serve me with faith. The realization will correspond to the nature of one's faith. The people of the world act ceaselessly in pursuance of some ideal. By meditating on me by means of those deeds, one will obtain devotion characterized by love in the shape of supreme service. Listen, O Vidhi, I am the seed, i.e., the fundamental principle of this world of animate and inanimate objects. I am Pradhana, the substance of matter. I am Prakriti, material cause, and I am Purusha, efficient cause. This fiery energy that belongs specially to the Brahman that inheres in you has also been conferred by me. It is by bearing this fiery energy that you regulate this phenomenal world of animate and inanimate objects.
All right. Now we chant, right? Good. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Govinda Sarva Karna Karanam Sahasra Patra Kamalam Gokulakyam Mahatpadam Tadkarnikaram Tadama Taranantang Sambhavam Karnikaram Mahadyantram Sarkonam Vrajakilakam Saranga Sapadistanam Prakritya Purushena Cha Premananda Mahanda Ravinabhistitam Hiyat Jyoti Rupena Manuna Kamabijena Sangatam Katkin Gaukam Tarangsanam Tapatrani Shriyamapi Chaturashram Taparita Sveta Deepakyam Adbhutam Chaturashram Chaturmurtes Chaturdama Chatuskritam Chaturbi Purushartaischa Chaturbi Hetubirvritam Shulair Biranadham Urvado Dividikshvapi Asta Nidvir Jusitam Astabi Siddhibhistata Manurupaischa Dashabir Dikpalai Paritavritam Shamair Gunaischa Raktaischa Suklaischa Parasharshabhyai Shobitam Shakti Bistabir Abhutad Bisamantata Evam Jyotirmayo Devam Sadananda Parat Param Atmaram Asya Tashyasti Prakrita Nasangamaha Maya Rama Mamastasya Nigastahasaha Atmana Ramaya Reme Taktva Kalam Shishikshaya Deve Tapriya Tadvasam Tada Talingam Bhavadam Shambor Jyoti Rupa Sanatanaha Yayoni Sapara Shakti Kamabijam Mahadare Linga Yoni Atmika Jatam Ima Maheshwaram Paraja Shaktimam Purusha Soyam Linga Rupam Maheshwaram Tasmin Abba Bilum Linge Ujamoshir Demanpati Sahasra Sirsa Purusha Sahasraksha Sahasrapat Sahasbahur Vishvatma Sahasrangsa Sahasrasaho Narayana Sa Bhagavan Apastasmat Sanatanat Avirasit Karanarno Nidhi Shankar Shanatmanaka Yoga Nidram Gatastasmin Sahasrangsa Swayam Mahan Taroma Bila Jilasha Bijam Sankar Shanayacha Dajatani Mahabhuta Vitani Tu Tayanyaram Ekangsad Ekangsa Vishata Swayam Sahaswa Murda Vishvatma Mahavishnur Sanatanam Pamangad Asreja Vishnum Dasanangat Prajapatim Jyotirlingam Mayam Sambhum Korcha Dasat Abashvajat Ahankaratmakam Vishvam Tasmareta Vajayata Atataistri Vidahir Vaishayar Lilam Udva Hatakila Yoga Nidram Bhagavati Tashvashvir Eva Sangata Sikam Tato Nevais Tasya Padman Viniryayam Tanalam Hema Nilinam Brahmano Lokam Adbhutam Tatvani Purvarodvani Karanani Parashparam Sambhaya Prayogachcha Vinani Pratak Pratak Chikchakya Sajamanota Bhagavanari Purushaha Yogaya Mayaya Devo Yoga Nidra Makalpayat Yogjavish Tatataneva Pabhishesha Swayam Gunam Guyam Praviste Tasminstu Jivatma Pratibhujyate Sa Nityo Nitya Sambandha Prakritischa Pravahisa Evam Sarvatma Sambanam Nivam Padmam Harerabhut Tatra Brahma Bhavad Bhutas Chaturvedi Chaturmukhan Sanjato Bhagavat Chakya Nakalam Kilam Atlitam Shishishkaya Matim Chakre Purva Sangsaka Sankitam Darishasha Tvivalam Dandam Nanyam Kim Api Sarvata Uvacha Puratas Tasmai Tasma Divya Sahasrati Kama Krishna Govindo He Gopi Jani Tyapi Balavaya Priyavanir Matram Te Dashtati Priyam Tapastvam Tapa Etena Tavasirir Bhavishati Atatepe Sasuchiram Pima Govinda Govayam Sweta Deepam Patim Krishna Golokastam Parat Param Prakritya Guna Prapinya Rupinya Paripashitam Sahasra Dala Sampane Koti Kenjalaka Bremite Bhumishchintamani Statra Karnikare Mahasane Samasinam Chiranandam Jyotirupam Sanatanam Branam Mayaginum Vidanyatam Vakambuje Pilasini Ganavritam Svayasvaram Saira Vistutam Atavenu Nindadasya Trai Murti Gai Gatim Spuryanti Pravivesha Shal Mukhabhajani Swayambhuvam Gayatrim Gayatas Tasmad Arigatya Sarojajaha Sankritas Charigunani Dvijitam Agamattata Tvaya Prabhudo Tavidir Vignyata Tapasangaraha Tushtava Vidasarena Stotra Nanena Keshavam Chintamani Prakarasat Vasvakalpavreka Laksavrite Susudabira Vipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasya Satasam Brahma Sevyamanam Venun Ganvantamaravinda Dalaya Taksham Bharhavatang Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham Alola Chandra Kalasad Vanamalaya Vangsi Ratnan Gadam Pranaya Keli Kalavilasam Swayam Tribanga Lalitam Niyata Prakasham Anganiyasha Sakalindriya Vrittimanti Pashanti Panti Kalayanti Chiram Jaganti Ananda Chinmaya Sarujvala Vigrahasya Govindamadi Purusham Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam Adyam Puram Purusham Navayovanam Cha Vedeshu Dorlabam Adorlamam Atmabhakdao Pantastu Koti Shatavatsara Sampragamyo Vayoratapi Manaso Munipungavanam Sopyasti Apraparasim Navichinta Tatve Vindamadi Purusam Damaham Vijami Ekopya Shaurachayatum Jagaranda Kotim Yachakturasti Jagaranda Chayayaranta Andantarasta Paramanu Chayantarastam Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yad Baba Baba Tadiyo Manujasta Taiva Samprapya Rupa Mahina Sanayana Bosha Suktaryameva Nigama Pratitai Stuvanti Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitabis Tabirya Eva Nijarupa Taya Kalabi Goloke Eva Nivasata Kilatma Bhota Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achinta Gona Swaropam Govindamadai Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ramadi Murti Shukalani Amena Tistan Nana Avatara Makaro Bhuvanesha Kintu Krishna Swayam Samabhava Paramam Pumamjo Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yasya Prabha Prabhavato Jagaranda Kotim Kotishta Sesha Vasudhadi Vibhuti Binam Yad Brahma Nishkalamadanta Sesha Bhutam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Maya Hiyasya Jagaranda Shatani Sute Traigunya Vishaya Veda Virayamanam Sattvavalambhi Parasatvam Vishuddha Sattvam Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami The Chinmay Rasarat Mataya Mahishu Ya Pranilam Pratipalam Smarantam Upechya Lilayitena Bhuvanani Jayantya Jasham Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Goloka Namni Nijadamni Toloy Chatasho Devi Mahesha Haridama Shuteshu Teshu Te Prabhava Nichaya Vihitascha Jaina Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Shvesti Stati Pralaya Sadhana Shaktireka Chaivasya bhuvanani vibharti dorga Ichanurupamapi yasya chetesa Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami Kshiram yata dadivikara vishesha yoga Sanjayate nahi tata pritagasti hetoho Yasambutam apitatat samupaiti karyad Govindamade parasham tamaham vajami Deeparchere vahida santarama bhupetya Deepayate vivrita hetu samana dharman Yastadrige vahi vishnu tataya vibhatyai Govindamade parasham tamaham vajami Yakaranar vajatale bhajati sma yoga Nidramananta jagaranda saroma kupa Adara shakti mavalamya param samurtim Govindamadi purusham tamam bhajami Yashyaika nivasita kala matavalam valambya Yanti loma vilaja jagaranda nata Vishnur Mahansa Ihayasya Khalo Vishesha Govindamadi Parasham Bhasvanya Tangsha Sakaleshu Nijeshu Teja Sviyam Kiya Prakitayatyapyata Vadatra Brahmaya Esa Jagaranda Vidana Karta Govindamadi Purusham Damaham Bhajami Yad Padavallava Yugam Vinidaya Kumbha Twandve Pranama Samaye Saganadi Raja Vignan Vihantu Malam Asya Jagatvaya Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Agnir Mahi Gaganamam Buddhamarudishcha Kalastatatma Manasita Jagatvayani Yadbam Sabhivani Mesanti Chayam Sho Govindamade Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Susavita Sakala Grahanam Raja Samasta Surya Murti Sesha Teja Yashagnaya Paramita Sambrita Kala Chakra Govindamade Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Narmota Papa Nichaya Shutaya Statamsi Namadi Kita Patalambara Tadadadadin Tata Matra Vibhava Prakrita Prabhabis Vindamare Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yastvindri Gopa Aprindiya Hosvakarma Bandhanu Rupa Palabhajyatam Atoti Karmani Nidata Kintu Bhakti Bhajan Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yam Krodha Kama Sahaja Pranayadi Bhiti Vatsalya Moho Guru Gauraiva Seva Bhavai Sancintitasya Sadisim Tanumaju Ete Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Srimadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Shiyakanta Kanta Parama Purusha Kalpatarevor Duma Bhumishchintamani Ganamayo Toyammatam Kathaganam Nityam Gamam Api Vangsi Priyasaki Chirananda Jyoti Param Api Yadavashyam Api Cha Sayatrakshira Vyodisrani Surabhishta Sumahan Nimeshardakyo Javrajeta Nantistai Satin Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Govinda Sarvakarna Karanam Ki Jai. And now? Okay. Ek-shlok. Well, there's no verse. Do you know which verse it is? Huh? Well, according to the schedule, I'm supposed to give class for an hour, then I'm supposed to talk on Guru Puja for an hour, then everybody else is supposed to get their offerings for an hour. Okay. Leon Macduff, and damn be him who first calls hold. What? I'd like to do whatever verse you're doing. It makes my life easy. Okay. First Canto, 14th chapter. First Canto, 14th chapter. That's something else. Huh? The 13th chapter. Dhritarashtra quiets home. It was finished. Okay. Narayana, okay. Jayarada Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Ballabha Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Shri Radha Madhava Astasaki Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Chandradaya Mandir Ki. Shri Radha Madhava Mohan Ki Jai. So what do you think? 14.1? Okay, we'll start there. This is. Okay. So, how many cantos in Srimad Bhagavatam? 12. Okay. Can you describe all of them in 108 minutes? We have a whole analysis. We one time with Tulasi Charana Sevita Das, our disciple who used to be a teacher here, and about 3 more devotees, we decided we were going to go through the whole Bhagavatam in 1 year, one canto a month. So after 2 months, everybody had quit, but he and me. And I wanted to quit sometimes, and he said, let's go on. He wanted to quit sometimes, and I said, go on. So fortunately, we both didn't want to quit at the same time. We finished it. And pretty much, the 3rd and 4th cantos are pretty big, like that, but we almost finished those. And because of that, you begin to see how it's organized, So Srimad Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of God. Idam Bhagavata Nama Puranam Brahmasamitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakaram Bhagavan Rishi Nisraya Svaya Lokasya Danyam Swasti Ayato Mahat. Okay, yeah. It's a literary incarnation of God, and it's been produced by Vyasa in the maturity of his realization. It's all successful and all blissful. Then it goes on to say, now that Sri Krishna has departed for his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc., those people who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of Kali Yuga, will get light from this Purana. So that's all the third chapter, first canto. So it's literally incarnation of Krishna. The first 2 cantos are Krishna's lotus feet. Cantos 3 and 4 are his legs. Canto 5 is his waist. Canto 6 is his chest. Okay. Canto 7 and 8 are his arms. Okay. 9. Yeah. 10. Face. And the smile is which chapters? Panchadya Paraslila. 29 through 34. That's his smile. Okay, the Raslila chapters, which includes the Gopi Gita and everything else. Then chapter 10 is 11 is his forehead, and then 12 is his crown. Okay. So even the gopis, when they start to think about Krishna, they start with his lotus feet, like that. It's like a building. If you want to have a 1-story building, the foundation can be very simple. You want to have a 5-story building, you've got to have a little more concern for the foundation. But if you want to build a 70-story building, okay, then you're starting to talk about very serious analysis with 3 guys checking the figures, to see if the building's going to stand up. So same way, the more we want to go higher, we want to worship Krishna as a friend, want to worship Krishna as a parent, or finally as a conjugal lover. That means you have to be better and better at worshiping his lotus feet. And for all those who come from Christian backgrounds here, the same thing's there. In the Bible, in the Old Testament, attributed to King Solomon, who was a long time, before Christ even. I'm not sure what time he was. Solomon was 1000 BC or something. They say put him back a long time ago. So there's one song attributed to him called the Song of Solomon in the Bible, or the Song of Songs. And it starts off with this thing. He says, "Kiss me with the kiss of your lips." Okay? And then it's taken by many different great Christian saints. They say this is an analogy of the individual soul in its relationship with God. And especially you can look on the internet for Saint Bernard of Clairvaux, Clear Valley. A very powerful Christian saint, And he has about 7 lectures on this he was giving to his different monks in the monastery. And he said, okay, because you read Ecclesiastes, I think you're free from the attraction of bodily gratification. And because you've read Proverbs, I think you're free from the vanity of the mind, honor, prestige. So now we're ready to talk about more advanced things, body, mind. So now he said, now we'll start talking about these more advanced mellows of devotion. And it's very parallel, He says it starts with the idea of the kiss of the lips. Okay, but before we get to that, we got the kiss of the feet and the kiss of the hand. Like that. Okay, you're a complete rascal. Some guy's your master and taking good care of you and everything else, very considerate, but you then, become greedy and you debauch his wife and run off with the money and everything else, cause big problems for him, and it's just, horrible things. And after maybe 1 year, you're in such a horrible situation where about 6 people are ready to kill you, like that. So he finds out where you are and he busts into the room and fights with them and gets cut across his face with a knife and saves you and pulls you out. And what do? You grab his feet. You start crying and you say, "Forgive me, thank you, forgive me." So sambandha is the kiss of the feet, he's saying, as he describes it. We turn away from our selfish, egoistic, abominable life, and by the mercy of God, we're dragged out of this. So it's Diksha, Guru, Sambandha. So same conception we have. That's the kiss of the feet. I don't deserve anything. So, but if you allow me to kiss your feet, it's great mercy. Okay. Then we become a little bit more trustworthy. We're given different assignments. Okay, like Sambandha Abhideya. We're engaged in the process now. We take an initiation. We're allowed to worship Krishna. So now the master says, okay, here's a letter. Has to arrive at 2 o'clock this afternoon or it's going to be a big catastrophe. Can I count on you? You take his hand, you kiss it, and you say, "Yes, sir," like that. So this is like Abhideya, Majjhimadhikari now. He's engaged in the process. He's following, like that, But still, the material desires are there, but they're under control, and they're diminishing. But you can avoid, falling down into them in a gross level. Okay. So finally, then he starts to talk about the kiss of the lips. And he doesn't go into Madhurya Rasa exactly in the beginning. He talks about just a very intimate consciousness where the master reveals everything in terms of his position and everything else like that, So very nice explanation, even in Christian tradition, idea. And so we're talking about the Bhagavatam. First 2 cantos are Krishna's lotus feet. Then it gradually rises up to the 10th canto, which is the most confidential knowledge in all the Vedas. Most of the Puranas, how many Puranas are there? How many major Puranas are there? 18, okay. How many minor Puranas? There's many. And there's Sthala Puranas, which are related to different places like that, So, and most of these don't have commentaries. People didn't figure it was worth it making a commentary on them like that. And some start off talking about one thing, and they deviate to gem therapy and talk about something else. And this really, so I, it is kind of like this and that. But Srimad Bhagavatam, it's very clear, the logical development, what the focus is, what it's doing like that. And in English, we would say every Tom, Dick, and Harry, every Gupta, Sharma, and something, has his commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. The Mayavadis have their commentary, their Karma Mimamsis, because everybody wants to show that, yes, Srimad Bhagavatam definitely establishes that we are all God, like that. We are all Krishna, So they all want to have a commentary, Radhika Raman, who right now is on the airplane, I hope. You should be right at this point. You should be just about ready. Fold up your table, like that. We're landing. It's like 9:00. So he when he was studying at Oxford, Professor Rao would come from Madras. He's an emeritus professor, retired professor of Sanskrit studies, and he would teach the students there for like seminars on different topics. So one time when he was teaching the Bhagavatam, he said, I've read all the major Sanskrit literatures and most of the minor ones. And he said, I'm not being proud, it's just I've been doing this for 40 years. And he said, when it says that the different Puranas are beautiful, like the stars in the sky, very impressive, until the moon of Srimad Bhagavatam comes up. He said, it's not an exaggeration. The stars look, he's bigger than we are. So he says, it's not an exaggeration. He says, for the beauty of the poetry, for the sophistication of the grammar, for the profundity of the philosophy, Srimad Bhagavatam is in a class by itself. Like that. So it is the essence of all the Vedas. Bhagavatam starts off by saying, Nigama kalpa taror galitam palam. It's the essence of all the Vedas, right? But beyond that, it's also the best of all the Vedas, like that, so on. One of our friends, Professor Samaresh Bandyopadhyay, he was former head of the Department of Ancient Indian History and Culture at Calcutta University. I think he started studying Sanskrit at 7 years old or 5 years old or something, So many people in Calcutta before had this impression that, the followers of Lord Chaitanya was some kind of in the beginning it was some kind of perverse sex cult or something, Then it got a kind of, Bhaktivinoda Thakur raised the general opinion it was kind of a low-class religion for people who couldn't manage higher things. Okay, so we have ideas there, But then somehow or other we're associating, and he's starting to participate in these programs. And so I heard him on the phone one morning talking to a friend, and he was saying, I used to think that Srimad Bhagavatam was for less intelligent people, but now after associating with these ISKCON people and seeing their acharyas, I'm beginning to realize that it wasn't that the Sanskrit in Srimad Bhagavatam is inferior; it's that my understanding is inferior. If you have a boiler, right, and there's a water gauge to see how much water is in it, like that, So it's a very tricky thing, because when it's empty or full, it looks the same. Completely full or completely empty, it'll look the same. So sometimes, which is the problem here? Is in my Sanskrit, you realize it's not the problem with the Bhagavatam Sanskrit; it's my ability to appreciate it. And you start to go into it. The Bhagavatam is mostly Puranic Sanskrit, but it also has Vedic Sanskrit and Vedic Sanskrit in it. There's a really nice paper by Advaita Das from Cornell University on the date and the history like that, which is an incredible description, very detailed, of the whole history and everything else like that, so on. So it's incredible literature. If we, even from modern historical and everything else viewpoint, it's incredible. But then if we start to take it on its own basis, okay, then it's just, it is. It's the essence of all the Vedas, everything else. The first 2 cantos are Krishna's lotus feet, like that. And, what is it now? 5, 18, 12, 12? No. 5, 12, 12? 5, 18, 12? No, it's 12, 12. Somewhere there. 5, 12, 12. In there it says that one should not dare, but in purport, probably says, well, actually in the purport it mentions sex desire 23 times. 20, counting it 20 times. Sex desire, 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 sexual motivation, sex desire. It goes on. Okay, we get the point, Yeah. And probably not Prabhupada, it's probably the Acharyas, So anyway, finally Prabhupada says, that the first 2 cantos are Krishna's lotus feet, and as long as one is still entangled in gross illicit sex, one should not go beyond the first 2 cantos, like that. So basically, if we can't follow the 4 principles strictly, we shouldn't go beyond the first 2 cantos. 2-2-12, thank you. Okay, it's easy to remember, 2-2-12. Okay, 2-2-12. So, because 3rd canto starts to get intense, right? 3rd canto starts to talk about hell, right? Hell. And the Hare Krishna hell is worse than the Muslim hell or the Christian hell even combined like that. It's just like, it's unbelievable, First you die in great pain, unable to breathe, unable to express yourself to your family members. They're talking to you, and then the Yamadutas come. Their bodies are like giant, boars, thick skin with bristly hair and ghastly faces with no compassion. They tie you with ropes around your neck and drag you out of your body, Then they beat you and you're falling down the road to hell, and you're being bitten by angry dogs with iron-like teeth, and envious old women are torturing you. The sun is burning on you, and you're whipped and forced to get up and continue on. And this is just the road to hell. Like that. You haven't got there yet. And you can't even pass out because they put you in a body where you can't lose consciousness. It's really, okay, So this is if you break the 4 regulative principles and all this kind of stuff, So unless you're following them, it's pretty heavy, My God, how can I do this, I'll become a Jehovah's Witness or something, or Radha-Swami, okay, I mean like this, okay, But it's just, because 3rd canto, we're starting to get, heavier medicine, So then also, on the other hand, it talks about licit gratification, okay. There was a very, very nice brahmacharini. Her name was Devahuti, okay. And she was a daughter of the mayor of San Jose, nice Christian girl, Catholic girl, raised in a monastery, okay. And there was one nice brahmachari named Kardamuni, and he was doing austerities, going out distributing books all the time, people spitting on him, kicking him, insulting him, and everything else. His body becoming deformed from carrying his book bag. So for many years doing austerities, then one day he was sitting in front of the deities and chanting before the Sunday feast, and I'm thinking how merciful Krishna is, and even seeing Krishna even like crying a little bit. So thank you so much for doing austerities for me. And then Kardama was thinking, okay, I can have anything I want. I know, you're a generous master. Anything I want I can have, But I have to confess I'm such a fool that after all these austerities, I want a nice car, a nice wife, all this material gratification, nice vacations, like that. I'm such an idiot. I'm gonna bloop or to kill myself. So Vishnu, Satyanarayan, tells him, no, this is understandable, If we don't have material desires, why do we have material bodies? Okay. So you're going to have to go through this one more time. Me Tarzan, you Jane, him Cheetah. Okay, here we go again. Woo! Okay, like that. Oh, Tarzan. Yeah. Okay, Yeah. Caesar, Cleopatra. Who else we got here? Like that. Mark Antony. Yeah. Okay. So one more time we're going to go through it, but this time we're going to watch everything. And we're going to see the whole thing. No, not going to finish it and say, well, I didn't catch that. Maybe that would, if I'd done that would have been okay. No, we're going to see the whole thing. Everything is possible. This happens in Hare Krishna. So sometimes we have material desires, very strong. We can't, control ourselves. We want to eat too much rice or something like that, or whatever it is. Just go on chanting Hare Krishna. You can't control it, but when you go through it chanting, you see it for what it is. And many times that's all it takes. Just see the whole thing from beginning to end, and you realize this is stupid. Your mind says, well, maybe if you did this or that. No, we saw the whole thing. Oh, you're right. Well, what is there then? Impersonalism in the beginning, but then we actually go to spiritual variety. So Kardama and Devahuti is this incredible story. Then Vishnu says, I've already arranged your wife. She'll be at the Sunday feast this afternoon. As soon as you see her, you'll know it's my soulmate. Some enchanted Artik. You will see him standing across the crowded room. Then fly to his arms and make him your own. Or all the rest of your life you will dream of him. There's so many songs like this, no? Right? Really, these songs are really strange. There's another one. A room without windows, a room without doors, just you and me in love forevermore. If you've been married more than 3 years, this song is like something like worst possible hell could be imagined like that. The beginning maybe so. Okay. So this is this idea is there, and Devahuti and Kardama Muni were married, and we're studying this and everything like that. And then she served him like a slave, like that. She was wiping the pots with her hair, like that. Okay. She got skinny, her body was discolored, everything else. And Prabhupada says that no ordinary man can expect a wife like this. Okay. But he was pleased, everything very happy. And then a chair like that. Yeah. So anyway, then he said, thank you so much for serving me. By these austerities, I've been able to realize, get advanced spiritualization and everything else. But what can I do for you? So she said, well, I'd like to have kids, a house, these kind of things. She said, no problem, like that. So he manifested. What kind of house did he manifest? Flying castle, kind of like a big motorhome, like that. Yes. 747, right? 7 stories. Okay. Airbus 22, private Airbus, whatever it is, 14, like that. So even there's 2 Air Force Ones. I don't know if you know that or not. The president only has one of these things. He has 2 of these things, And imagine the whole thing. It has like a conference room, everything else, and the thing like that. So it's something like this, only better. And all beautiful swans and everything else and like that. So then Prabhupada says an ordinary wife cannot expect a husband like this. All right. But with something that the wife should try and be like this, the husband should try and be like that. So they went to the Bahamas, they went everywhere, they were every day chanting their rounds, they had pearl japa beads and stuff like that, and they had enjoyed sense gratification, and unbelievable. They had a bed that increased sensuous gratification. Oh my goodness, So we have our boutique here. And you have that bed. Oh yeah, it's right here. It's all the paraphernalia for Krishna consciousness. Okay, yeah. But it's the 3rd canto, right? Until you're actually following principles and stuff like that, it's just too much. It's 2 sides of the coin. When you start telling devotees who've been devotees for some time following and they haven't heard these things, you say, "What, we can do that?" Yeah. You can have gratification like this. Really? Yes. Because the desires are there, so try them out. Try it. Right? Try it. But as an experiment, in a controlled fashion. They always followed the 4 principles. They always chanted their rounds. They always got up in the morning. But they had a good time like that. Yeah? Yeah. Okay. You should read the whole book. And what was the result? They wanted to do it again? Yeah, but after that, yeah. Then they were just finished. Kapila no longer, Kardama Muni was satisfied. This is never going to make you happy. So he took sannyas, went back to Godhead. And then Devahuti, when her husband was taking sannyas, what was she doing? Huh? Yeah, but before that she was kind of lamenting and crying because she had nobody to protect her. So he gave her a son. Pandijai Das Ki Jai. Okay, like that. You have a representative of Bill Gates here now. Like that. The competition has arrived. Silicon Valley versus what's the town called? Huh? Redmond. Okay. How many buildings there? 124 buildings. How many employees? Huh? 72,000 employees, Microsoft. My God. The beast. The beast. Yeah. Over here we have Micron. Okay, everybody. We're discussing Devahuti and Kardama Muni. Okay. So, Kapila. Yeah. Yeah.
He was an Ansavatar.
Yeah.
So it's such a, like, if you are desiring for a son and you get that type of son, it is even better than many times having going into austerities.
Yeah. But in the end, he also left her. In the end, he also, because be attracted to me. The deity is very beautiful, but when you die, so he was teaching her to be attracted to him as her son, giving her the philosophy necessary to support that, but then to go through that, go beyond that, and to see his eternal transcendental form also. So we have to understand that we have so many nice things in our if we become attached to the external paraphernalia of spiritual life, devotional service, when we die we'll become confused and we'll take birth on Indraloka. And there we can worship Krishna, everything else, but with all the opulence of Indra and the Devatas and temples like that. So we have to go to Maharloka, Janaloka, Brahmaloka, and finally to Mahavishnu. And Mahavishnu is the first level of eternal devotional service, transcendental, where you haven't got to be carried around the material world. So it's the third canto, right? Then after that, fourth canto, fifth, sixth, it becomes more intense. Different avatars are described until finally in the 10th canto is Avatara Avatari, the Krishna who is the source of all these things, right? By seeing these different qualities, we can gradually appreciate Krishna, like that. Third canto, Maitreya is talking to Vidura, and that's mostly the whole Bhagavatam follows with their conversation. And then he says, he's discussing creation. The first thing we should know about Krishna is how he makes this world, how he maintains it, and how he destroys it. Because then we can be Krishna conscious, because if we know God in this world, okay, we know everything. There's no fear, no greed. That's the beginning. In the course of that, he's describing the Manus, who start to create all the different bodies for everybody. Swayambhuva Manu, who was married to? Who? Huh? Shatarupa. And they had how many children? No. That's later. That's Daksha. No. 5. Dap up. Yeah, the 3 Uti sisters, Devahuti, Akuti, Prasuti. And what happens then, that the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh cantos are all based upon the story of each of those children and how they had different offspring and different incarnations of Krishna appeared in their lines like that. So it's a very good didactic device for going through these different avatars and everything else. So Devahuti married Kardama and produced Kapila, maybe about how many chapters? Like 5, 6, 8 chapters of instructions. Akuti married Ruchi and had 2 kids who were Lakshmi and Narayan. And then Prasuti married very expert guy, Daksha. And he was very good. He did many sacrifices, right? Very religious person. Very austere. But his problem was he was a little arrogant, proud of what he was doing. And that led to envy of other people and hostility. And finally then, he got into an argument with Lord Shiva, or he insulted Lord Shiva. And the problem with that was that his daughter was married to Shiva, and so she burned herself alive. And it's this whole very exciting story. If you put these in modern language for ISKCON, they just become like incredible. They sound like something that could have happened in ISKCON, like that. So that's the 4th canto, 3rd, 4th, and then also the story of in the 4th canto, Uttanapada, Dhruva, Dhruva, his son Dhruva, and then from Dhruva's line, so many incarnations people come. Rishabdev eventually appears in the line of Dhruva, like that. But it's interrupted because the Prachetas, somewhere down the line there, they go do austerities to become good grihastas. So while they're doing austerities, we start the 5th canto. And the 5th canto is Priyavrata, and so many stories about him and how he became king, everything else like that, and took care of the earth. And then,
The islands created also. The islands created by Priyavrata.
With his chariot, like that. Then after that, we go back to the Prachetas, and then the story of their daughter. They're an example of polyandria. What is polyandria? What is polygamia? Huh? One man with many wives. And polyandria is? Let us speculate. Yeah. So, the Pandavas brought Draupadi back, and then somebody said, told Kunti, we got something very nice today when we were begging. So without looking, Kunti said, well, whatever it is, you have to share it equally. So then Bhima or somebody said, but it's a woman. so then Kunti turns around and looks at Draupadi, and Draupadi is maybe 14 years old or something, and what's going on here? And so then Kunti grabs her and says, I didn't mean that. I mean, of course you can't do that. And then, but Yudhishthira says, but whatever you say is dharma for us. And you said that, and adharma cannot stay in my mind. And this doesn't seem as adharma to me, like that, So then Draupadi's attitude towards the whole thing is, I don't care what your mother says. I'm not going to marry 5 guys. Forget it. So then they go on talking, and they're pretty handsome guys, and so on. But one of the things that finally convinces her that it's not adharma is the story of the Prachetas and how they married. Example of polyandria like that. It's very interesting because one time in Peru, we were giving a lecture like this, and many people there, and a lot of tourists in Lima. It's a very good place for preaching because all over the world people come there to Lima and stuff. So then one girl, she thinks she was Swedish or something. She said, "Okay, I can see polygamy and stuff like that. But if you're preaching polygamy, that is a good part. It's natural in society to organize things peacefully. You should also allow polyandria, So it's what can you say? It's kind of a fair argument. So I didn't know what to say exactly, or So then, as you go on reading, you find the same things again and again. And it's you aren't the body. How many times did the Prabhupada say that? You're not going to become God. How many? It's just again and again the Acharya say that. But you always find new details. So you go more and more deeper, more profound. You get in an automobile accident, okay, smash, whatever, and then somebody runs over, and they know enough first aid to keep you alive until the ambulance guy comes, right? And he puts you on some kind of oxygen and seizes this up and gets you in the ambulance, takes you to the hospital. He can keep you alive for maybe 20 minutes until you get to the hospital. Then what's it called? An intern runs in there and knows enough then to get you, stabilized until the next morning, right? Then a real doctor comes in and looks at you and says, okay, you're going to have some major surgery like this and that. So we're going to put you in surgery right away, but after you heal up a little bit, you're going to need some more surgery. Orthopedic surgery to get everything back in shape. So different levels, right, of knowledge, of the philosophy. And you can save yourself, okay. Then as you go on, you can actually help other people. You can help them enough to get them to the temple. One devotee was an alcoholic, Bill W., but he brought so many people to the temple like that, like that. So he said, well, I don't know so much, but the food's really good and the philosophy is really nice, okay. Good enough. You get somebody to the temple and they find out the food is good and the philosophy is nice, So what is he? He's Pat Pradarshika Guru, right? Avartmana Pradarshika Guru. He shows you the path, But he can't act as Diksha Guru, He can't act as Ras Guru. So as we become more purified, we can help people, If I say you're not the body, okay. But if Prabhupada looks at you and says, you're not the body, it's just like you say, yes. I used to go say, yes. Because you can realize how nice it is not to be the body, like that. My cell phone's going off here. All calls are being referred to you, the master of ceremonies. So, by studying the Bhagavatam, okay. So when it comes to the story of polyandria and Pramlochan, who married all the Prachetas, then we start to discover what is the problem with polyandria. Okay, you can't answer this. You can't answer this over there. All these Bhakti Baba guys. What is the problem with polyandria? One girl with many husbands. What's the problem? Huh? Too much of a good thing? No. Because Prabhupada says that because of the way the world is created, the natural psychology of a woman is to focus on one man. My daddy. Back off. My puppy, Yeah, or my husband, and so that, or else my son, So this is very natural for a woman. Everybody has their nature. Kshatriyas have a nature, they want to control everybody. A real Kshatriya comes and says, what's going on? Who's in charge here? It's like his nature is, he wants to control everybody. The other side of his nature is he's extremely generous. So those people who've taken shelter of him, he'll sacrifice everything to protect them. This is Kshatriya Dharma, his nature. It's not material. It's not spiritual. This is material. This is the aspect of the material world, Varna Ashram, like that. So same way, he says the nature of women ordinarily is to become very attached to one man. It's very gratifying for the mind, very simple. So therefore, if a lady is married to several husbands, she will not be able to give equal affection to all of them, and then going to be conflict, like that. So Draupadi, was she able to give equal affection to all of her 5 husbands? No. Well, she was more affectionate to one of them? Arjuna. But she didn't let anybody know. When she needed something done and nobody would do it, who would she go to? Bhima. What would she tell him? Oh, none of my other husbands really love me like you. You're the only one who really loves me, like that. Nobody's helping me to take care of, what's his name, Kutachak? What's the guy's name? Kichak, and it's okay, And so she fell down because of that on the way back to Vaikuntha, So you start seeing, Bhagavatam is full of incredible social, psychological, physical information, and it's gradual, And how much we'll be able to appreciate in one lifetime is, in our society, it is kind of questionable. So first cantos are Krishna's lotus feet. Yes, sir?
Draupadi has 2 things going on in her life.
Yeah.
Two things going on in her life. One is that she was devotee of Lord Krishna.
Yes.
And the other thing is, here it is dharma.
Yeah.
Even if she has fallen down from the dharma, who cares?
Yeah.
She was a devotee of Lord Krishna, and that's the end of it.
It's all like Arjuna.
Yes.
Arjuna became confused.
Yes.
But Prabhupada said, but that was externally, so the pastime could go on like that. Yeah. But we see in the Bhagavatam too, is that sometimes people are very, very elevated, but they still have attachments, and they still have problems. Even Dhritarashtra, he wasn't all bad, but he had many problems. So the Bhagavatam shows us these things. Every single psychological circumstance you can encounter is in Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? Every single psychological circumstance you can encounter. So as you take the Bhagavatam to heart, you understand everybody. This is like Dhritarashtra, this is like Daksha, this is like Kunti, this is like Devahuti. And no matter how elevated somebody is, you can elevate them to Mahavishnu Loka, to Vaikuntha, to Leela avatars, to Sankarshan, to Balaram, to Krishna Dwarkadish, to Mathurahesh, to Krishna in Vrindavan, and even in Vrindavan, higher levels. And the Bhagavatam goes all the way to Madhurya Ras and indicates Radharani's affection. It's indicated there, but there's no details, about her mode. And the Acharyas then go on explaining more and more of her sentiments, even amongst the gopis. So Srimad Bhagavatam is unlimited, what you can get out of it like that. And even the first 2 cantos, okay, you got the lotus feet of Krishna. Anybody who can understand the first 2 cantos can see the lotus feet of Krishna. They are identical, like that. You take it to heart. 3rd canto gets more intense. 4th canto, more intense. 5th canto, more intense. 6th, 7th, 8th, until finally, by the time you really understand the 10th canto, then you're there. You can see Mother Yashoda milking the cows. We're waiting for Krishna to come home in the evening. You can see the dust being raised in the distance as the sun goes down. The boys playing their flutes and singing, and everybody running out like that to wait for them. Yeah. 10th canto, Ki Jai. So now we're on the 14th chapter. So first 2 cantos. We're back up here. A preface. Every book has a preface, right? Okay. You're educated people. What do we find in a preface?
Just the overall explanation of what it is about.
Setting the stage.
Kind of. Yeah, not the content. The introduction introduces the book. The preface tells us what is the purpose of this book. It tells us under what circumstances it was being produced. It tells us the qualifications of the author, and it tells us the qualifications that are expected of the reader. Okay, my name is Bob Smith. I am a teacher at Middle USA High School. I discovered there were no good books on calculus for high school students. So therefore, in the year 1982, with my students and fellow teachers at Middle High School, we wrote this book on calculus. It's expected that the student will have already finished analytical geometry before he starts it. Okay, preface. Now, introduction. So the first canto is a preface. Yeah. Under what circumstances is the Bhagavatam being produced? Who's the principal speaker of Bhagavatam? Sukadeva Goswami. Who's the principal audience? Okay, what are their qualifications? When did they begin their spiritual life?
7 days.
No. Before. When did they begin it? Yeah, both of them before they were born. Yeah, both of them. Yeah. Okay. And it describes Sukadeva Goswami. He was. How long was he in gestation? 16 years. 16 years. Okay. So this is a subtler age and a higher platform too. So everything was very amazing like that and so on. So these are not ordinary people. So the story we're going to hear is not somebody like somebody two rickshaw wallahs talking about this kind of pan and beaties. These are very elevated people. Okay. Then what are the circumstances under which it's being spoken? There's the general circumstances and the specific circumstances. Yeah, specific circumstances is he's going to die. If I told you you're going to die within 7 days, you start reevaluating everything, don't you? Yeah, like that. You got some work to do here to get things adjusted. I have to renounce this. I got to take care of that. External things have to be taken care of. What's going to happen to my family? I got to do that. But then I also get ready. If I tell you, it's just without a doubt, you're going to be killed in an auto accident within 7 days. Your ribs are going to be smashed to smithereens. Your head's going to be popped open. Your brains are going to be on the floor. I better get ready for this. It's like when I cut my finger when I'm cutting a sabji, I don't like it. So this is going to be a lot more difficult. Yeah. Okay. So that's what it is. Death is there. It's a very intense platform. Okay. The more broad circumstance is what? That's the specific circumstance. The broad circumstance is? Kali Yuga is coming. And Krishna has left the planet, so we need a new incarnation to protect us. And that's the purpose, that in the relationship between Sukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Pariksit, then this new incarnation, Yidam Bhagavata Nama, Srimad Bhagavatam will be produced. And Srimad Bhagavatam is the incarnation for the Kali Yuga to protect us, like that. Yeah. So that's the preface. In the first 3 chapters, what happens? Sutta to the sages, right? What are the sages doing? Where are the sages? Who's their leader? Okay, what are they doing? No, before that. Yeah, what kind of sacrifices? What's the result? Yeah? No, there's a result. Yeah? No, they say we're doing these sacrifices as auspicious place, but the only result is that our bodies are turning black from the smoke. So please, you got to tell us what we're doing wrong, what's happening. So they elect Sutta Goswami to be their teacher, their guru, and he talks about who he is. They ask him about 5 or 6 questions, and he answers those in the first 2 chapters, the second and third chapter, like that. But then they say, okay, Srimad Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of God. Srimad Bhagavatam is the solution. That's the sacrifice, hearing, chanting Srimad Bhagavatam. But, hey, already so many existed, so many big books, so many scriptures existed. Well, why did Vyasa write one more book? And why did his son, who was liberated his soul, take all the time to learn this? Okay, the next one is the meeting of? Yeah, and that's how Vyasadeva got the impetus, because Narada told him, he said, all this stuff you produced is too indirect. Yeah, Krishna is describing the Puranas, all these things, but it's so indirect that nobody figures out what's going on. they all think the purpose of religion is to go to see your ancestors and see your dog again, in the spiritual world, and that's it, No, and it's there, but it's not sufficiently direct. So he told him, therefore you have to write a direct explanation of spiritual life, and that's Srimad Bhagavatam. So he said, okay, I'll do it. He gave him advice. Chapters 4, 5, 6. Then in chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, chapter 7, what happens then? Yeah, so then Sutta Goswami says, I shall try and explain this to you. But looking at the audience, he said, well, maybe we need a little more background before we start talking about Srimad Bhagavatam. So in the successive chapters, he describes, the finishing the battle of Kurukshetra, the birth of Maharaj Parikshit, Ashvatthama trying to kill everybody else, Krishna enters Dwarka, Krishna obviously Dhritarashtra quits home, And then finally he gets back to the real thing, which is the birth of Maharaj Parikshit, and how he met Sukadeva Goswami. So that is involved right here in chapter 14. Okay, the disappearance of Krishna. Right? Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 14, canto 1, text 1. Sutta Uvacha. Samprastite Dwarakayam Jishnau Bandhu Dedrikshaya Jnatum Cha Punyaslokasya Krishnasya Chavichestitam Samprastite Dwarakayam Jishna Bandhu Didikshaya Jnatum Cha Punyaslokasya Krishnasya Chavichestitam. So the Goswami said, Arjuna went to Dwarka to see Lord Shri Krishna and other friends, and also to learn from the Lord and of his next activities. Purports. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord descended on this earth for the protection of the faithful and the annihilation of the impious. So, after the battle of Kurukshetra and establishment of Maharaj Yudhisthira, the mission of the Lord was complete. The Pandavas, especially Sri Arjuna, were eternal companions of the Lord. And therefore Arjuna went to Dwarka to hear from the Lord of his next program of work. Okay, text 2. A few months passed, and Arjuna did not return. Maharaj Yudhisthira then began to observe some inauspicious omens, which were fearful in themselves, like that. Okay, there's one. Some time ago, there's one comedian. This is when George Bush declared war on Iraq, and he said, there's something wrong in the world when the tallest basketball player in the NBA is a Chinese guy, when the best rapper is a white guy, when the French are calling the Americans arrogant, and the Germans are opposed to war. There's something. So there are different omens. Okay, yeah. It says here, Lord Sri Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, is ad infinitum more powerful than the most powerful sun of our experience. Millions and billions of suns are created by him and annihilated by him within one breathing period. In the material world, the sun is considered to be the source of all productivity and material energy. And only due to the sun can we have the necessities of life. Therefore, during the personal presence of the Lord on the earth, all paraphernalia for our peace and prosperity, especially religion and knowledge, were in full display because of the Lord's presence. Just as there is a full flood of light in the presence of the glowing sun, Maharaj Yudhisthira observed some discrepancies in his kingdom, and therefore he became very anxious about Arjuna, who was long absent, and there was also no news about Dwarka's well-being. He suspected the disappearance of Lord Krishna. Otherwise, there would have been no possibility of fearful omens. Kalashya cha gatim rodram. He saw that the direction of eternal time had changed, and this was very fearful. there were disruptions in the seasonal regularities. That happens all the time now. Spring starts to come, and everything starts to blossom, and then winter comes and destroys all the blossoms like that. All these seasonal irregularities are so common now. And they're more and more. When I was a child, it didn't happen so much. The people in general have become very greedy, angry, and deceitful. And he saw that they were adopting foul means of livelihood. All ordinary transactions and dealings became polluted with cheating, even between friends. And in family affairs, there was always misunderstanding between fathers, mothers, and sons, between well-wishers, and between brothers. Even between husband and wife, there was always strain and quarreling. In course of time, it came to pass that the people in general became accustomed to greed, anger, pride, etc. Maharaj Yudhisthira, observing all these omens, spoke to his younger brother. Who's that? Bhima. Yeah. Bhima, saying, I sent Arjuna to Dwarka to meet his friends and to learn from the personality of Godhead Krishna of his program of work. Since he departed, 7 months have passed, yet he has not returned. I do not know factually how things are going there. Is he going to quit his earthly pastimes as Devarishi Narada indicated? Has that time already arrived? From him only, all of our kingly opulence, good wives, lives, progeny, control over our subjects, victory over our enemies, and future accommodations in higher planets have become possible. All this is due to his causeless mercy. Just see, O man with a tiger's strength, how many miseries due to celestial influences, earthly reactions, and bodily pains, all very dangerous in themselves, are foreboding danger in the near future by diluting our intelligence. The left side of my body, my thighs, my arms, my eyes are all quivering again and again. I am having heart palpitations due to fear. All this indicates undesirable happenings. Just see, O Bhima, how the she-jackal cries at the rising sun and vomits fire. How the dogs bark at me fearlessly. O Bhima saying, tiger amongst men. Now useful animals like the cows are passing on my left side, and lower animals like the asses are circumambulating me. My horse appears to be weeping upon seeing me. So many omens. Just see, this pigeon is like a messenger of death. The shrieks of the owls and their rival crows makes my heart tremble. It appears that they want to make void the entire universe. Just see how the smoke encircles the sky. It appears that the earth and mountains are throbbing. Just hear the cloudless thunder and the bolts from the blue. The wind blows violently, blasting dust everywhere, creating darkness. Clouds are raining everywhere with bloody disasters. The rays of the sun are declining. The stars appear to be fighting. Confused living entities appear ablaze and weeping. Rivers, tributaries, ponds, reservoirs, and the mind are all perturbed. Butter no longer ignites fire. What is this extraordinary time? What is going to happen? Calves do not suck the teats of the cows, nor do the cows give milk. They are standing crying, tears in their eyes, and the bulls take no pleasure in the pasturing grounds. The deities are seen to be crying in the temple, lamenting and perspiring. They seem about to leave. All the cities, villages, towns, gardens, mines, and hermitages are now devoid of beauty and bereft of all happiness. I do not know what sort of calamities are now awaiting us. I think that all these earthly disturbances indicate some greater loss to the good fortune of the world. The world was fortunate to have been marked with the footprints of the lotus feet of the Lord. These signs indicate that this will no longer be. O Brahmana, Shonaka, while Maharaj Yudhisthira, observing the inauspicious signs on the earth at that time, was thus thinking to himself, Arjuna came back from the city of the Yadus, Dwarka. Jai. Stay tuned for Arjuna's news. Yeah. So this is very nice. These chapters, actually there are not many purports because it's just pretty much just a graphic description.
Just wanted to ask one simple question.
Yeah.
See, during when Lord Krishna was there, even during that, there were many times bad omens happen.
Yeah.
And you said that when Lord Krishna is there, there cannot happen any bad omens. Why at that time happened? Say, for example, before the whole Dwarka was to get destroyed, before that, lot of bad omens happened. Lord Krishna was there.
Yeah.
But bad omen happened. So during the presence of Lord Krishna also, there have been bad omens.
Yeah.
And here you were saying that when Lord Krishna is there, bad omens cannot happen. So
Okay, so in the material world, sattva-gun is always mixed with some raja and some tamas. So even in the Satya Yuga, we'll find some discrepancies, some problems. But it means in general. Generally speaking, everything was nice. And if there were problems, they were rectified. They didn't get out of hand. They didn't grow. But Kali entered in, really. You see that the first time he got some hold and started to cause problems was with Abhimanyu. Because before all the Kshatriyas, that's a heavy situation, they were following the rules of Dharma. Somebody's on the ground, you wait for him to get up. Somebody doesn't want to fight, you don't attack him. They were following the rules of Dharma. But when Abhimanyu was killing all the Kauravas, at that point, under Dronacharya's guidance, they all attacked him in an unfair fashion and killed him, a 14-year-old boy. And that was the beginning of real Dharma, Kali coming in. And after that, it just got worse and worse. And then finally, it became full force when Maharaj Pariksit was cursed by Shringi, because he used a little boy to introduce this unfair cursing of the king and everything else. Once the king was eliminated, everybody else was subjected to his influence. So it comes, but Krishna wants it to come too. It's just like you try and teach your children, don't do this, don't do that. They won't listen. So you make some arrangements. You say, okay, do whatever you want to do, and they learn. But you make sure it's not going to hurt themselves too much. And so that's Kali Yuga. It's only 10% of the whole cycle. In the Satya Yuga is 40%, Dwapara is 30, Dwapara is 20. Only 10% is this really bad, miserable time. So Krishna's so kind, But it's there for people who won't learn any other way. In the Kali Yuga, you can even eat other people. I have to speak of that. Okay. But it's, you learn, so on. So that's what happened. And generally speaking, because there were different inauspicious things, and when Nishida was taking Drona as his guru without really accepting him as his guru, and so many things like that. When Ram was there, when Shudra was doing austerities and causing people to die this way and that way, and so Ram cut off his head, So, but that was Treta Yuga. But that's how it was. Something like that in Treta Yuga was so arranged. That's why he cut off his head. Well, because he knew better. He knew he was doing something horrible like that. Even an ordinary employee, like that, a servant. So any other questions about the Bhagavatam in general? Comments here? Yeah. It's okay. So today we're also supposed to have Vyasa Puja. Yeah. Maha.
So how is the 18,000 sloka, for example, Sukadeva Goswami, his birth and some of these conversation, how it is compiled? Vyasadeva when he writes, how does he foresee all the things, or it is just, it is a conversation? Means when Sukadeva Goswami says to Parikshit Maharaj, the Srimad Bhagavatam, is it that the entire 18,000 sloka, even though his part was also, as a conversation is there, there are many networks, so how does it?
Your father was a lawyer, right? Software engineers think about this. It has to be. No, people discuss this because Bhagavatam really is composed of 4 verses, right? Vishnu, Dwarkadish, Mahavishnu, Dwarkadish. He spoke it to Brahma in 4 verses. Ahameva sameva gre nanyad sat sadasat param paschadaham idetashya yovashisheta sominaham. 4 verses, the whole thing is there. Any questions? And Brahma says, no, I got it. yeah, it's okay. Then Brahma expands it to Narada. The Narada, so we get down to us, we need 18,000 verses and we need commentaries too, and to get it, to really get the whole essence. After answering the questions of the sages in the first 3 chapters, then they say, well, what's the Bhagavatam's the essence, but why was it produced? You got to give us some perspective on this thing. You say it's the essence, but everything else is there, so we can't distinguish how to use it any different than anything else like that, so on. So then he says, okay, I heard the Srimad Bhagavatam when Sukadeva Goswami spoke it to. Yeah, he says, who is Sukadeva Goswami? Who is Maharaj Pariksit? He says, I was there and I heard it at the same time. So then he says, Yata idam yatamati. Yata idam yatamati. He said, I shall now try to make you experience it as I experienced it. He doesn't say I'm going to present it to you exactly the way it is. Because that's what, South Indian Brahmins, they learn to memorize these mantras for the sacrifices exactly. They memorize it one direction, they memorize it the other direction, and they memorize alternate signals. So we have a complete check bit system. Right? It's like, no, it's just like, it's what you have is what's coming down for thousands of years. There's no way it could have gotten messed up. Because every 7 years they all meet together and chant the same thing all at the same time. So what are the chances of 10,000 Buddhist monks making the same mistake? It's just impossible. So the mantras we have from these Brahmins doing this austerity are the mantras that have been passed down for forever. But that's not what Sutta Goswami is going to do. They even say you're not expert at that. What he's going to do, yatayadam yatamati. I will now try and make you experience it as I experienced it. So the Puranas are for getting across the experience of understanding, aha, God is controlling everything. Sound is more subtle than vision. Krishna, You actually directly experience it. And so because of that, you pick different stories, right? You give different logical explanations. So Srimad Bhagavatam is that. That's what Srimad Bhagavatam is. It's not an exact collection of verses necessarily. It's a glorification of the Lord and his energies and his disciples from somebody who has the experience and who's trying to communicate it.
No, because in that case, it might be leading to an interpretation. For example, somebody can put in another beautiful conversation and they say, okay, this is also Srimad Bhagavatam.
So we have the very first principle is that it has to be received from the proper source. In the very, very beginning, that's what they do. The sages, from the very beginning, they glorify Sutta Goswami. Why we're hearing it? Because you're submissive to your predecessor acharyas. You've undergone all austerities like that, and so we want to hear what you heard from them. We trust you to present it in the same way. So very important in the beginning. This whole point of guru, so we can segue into Vyasa Puja here, without appearing to jump. But then the question of who's talking to who. Parthasarthi Das, he went through because, okay, how's it start off? We don't know who wrote the first verse. First 3 verses, nobody knows who wrote those. And maybe more than that. Like the first 5 verses or something, it's like somebody says, once upon a time, Naimisharanya. Who wrote those? Maybe Vyasadeva wrote them after the whole thing was finished, right? Everything was compiled. He went back and somebody did the first verses. Then after that it says, Shonaka said, okay. Now we're on track here. And Shonaka talks to Sutta. And Sutta talks about other people and what they said. Then he introduces Maitreya and Vidura. The Maitreya and Vidura talk about Sankhya Muni, and Sankhya Muni talks about the Kumaras. And if you start going through like this, it starts getting more and more complicated if somebody's talking to somebody, talking to somebody, talking to somebody. But Parthasarthi Das went through the whole thing and put all these different hierarchical, nested conversations together. And usually there's some places where maybe it's a little confusing about how it passes to who, but the whole structure is there. And so basically the whole Bhagavatam is a conversation between Sutta and the sages, talking about things that have happened or like that. Okay? And if you look at it then logically and in terms of time factor and everything else, it all can fit in like that. But the real confusing is the first thing we don't know is the first verses. Like, the guy doesn't say, I'm Vyasa, I'm adding these verses, and later on, my whole story will be reproduced here like that. Yeah.
Vyasa was an avatar of God himself. He was himself God. He was able to see everything past, present, and future.
Yeah.
And so for him to write anything accurately and exactly is not a surprise.
No.
Yeah, it is whatever he has written is 100% right. That is what I felt.
Yeah.
Okay.
As far as his realization goes.
Yeah, because he knew what is going on.
Yeah. But then he has other people say it. So who's talking to who when and stuff like that. Yeah. Because huh?
It's like more like it's not exactly arguably the way saying right or wrong rather than say time dimensions.
Yeah.
Something
he was
for example, Sudha Goswami and Sonaka's conversation is much better than what Vyasa was written. So that conversation, how he has captured in the initial stage, and then the Sukadev Goswami conversation with Parikshit Maharaj also later part. So how that has been.
Because it says he wrote it, it doesn't mean like he sat, because we're very much addicted in our industrialized society to a German view of life. To German, time is a line. It goes one direction, there are no branches, and every step is just the same size. Okay, this is very, but my background, sociology, psychology, you see, many cultures have very different views of time. So we want to see like how, like say, we want to be able to write this thing down with conditional do loops, just put it in a series of connected lines like that, and so on. But we say someone, Rupa Goswami wrote Vidagdha Madhava and Lalita Madhava, but he wrote them over about, 15 years, So what did he write this and he stopped? He wrote this and he stopped? No, when you're writing like that, maybe you write the outline, then you go back and you start writing it and you change it. So it doesn't have to be a linear process. Which comes first, spring or summer? Yeah, it's a circle. Yeah, it's the same way. So time in the Vedic culture, as far as I'm understanding it, time is an external manifestation of the Paramatma, right? So you're talking about trying to organize this thing in terms of time as you're trying to relate to the Paramatma, it's a very sophisticated relationship. Sat Chit, there's no Ananda. So generally speaking, though, many times it's a spiral. So you have a line, but it's the same thing again and again like that, so on. And so the process of writing the Bhagavatam is, remember me, that Vyasadeva wrote the thing, and then he went back and added some things and adjusted it like that, Yeah.
Maharaj, I have a question.
Oh yeah.
So
like the voice comes from the sky. You're such a fool. Yeah.
Maharaj, so on similar lines, like on Bhagavad Gita also, the conversation happened between Krishna and Vivashwan, and then, all the way down, and again, the 700 verses, same analogy can be kept. But my prime question was, when it comes to Smriti and Shruti, so because Bhagavatam becomes more like a Smriti. By memory. Ishopanishad is, I think, Shruti, correct? So if someone, so we understand that, correct? We follow the parampara, but if we have to have a discussion with someone outside and then they don't have faith on Bhagavatam, what are the points? Like when they say, let's talk about Shruti and let's not talk about Smriti. 2 points.
Well, as members of ISKCON, from the Bhaktivedanta library, we have the Upanishad. And I think, my impression is that's the only reason Prabhupada really did it. So we have something which is Shruti, like that. Because again and again in the purports he said, but these things are better explained in Gita and so on. But if you look at the Upanishad, it's pretty strong, Hiranmayena patrena satyasya pihitam mukam tatvam pusham aparenu satya dharmaya drishyate. Okay, Hiranmayena patrena, it's clear, See that, and again, a fool convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. If people don't want to understand, they're not going to understand, and it's offensive to even try. You turn them back over to the gentle, loving hands of Maya Devi, right? And she'll, you know, and so eventually that's it, because different people, different levels, different situations. But somebody who's like sincere but a little attached, whatever, like us, okay, then we have the Upanishad. And the Upanishad, gives a very clear explanation. It's a very, very, very nice theistic approach. And in the end, I may forget you, this and that, but don't you forget me. It's very much introducing a personal aspect to divinity like that. Then once we go that, okay, then we have the Gita Upanishad, and Bhagavad Gita is very much bringing us to the Paramatma. And so if a person is willing to accept these things, experience them, try them out, like that. And of course the authority of what I call the Parampara authority, and we belong to the Brahma Sampradaya. So someone has to investigate whether or not our Sampradaya is authorized. Those people who reject the Puranas, what is their authority? I mean, are they claiming to come from an authoritative Sampradaya, which says these other things aren't bona fide? You may investigate. No, you don't. The problem is not with our parampara, it's with their parampara. Yeah. Okay. The comments here. Yeah. Okay.
I was going to say, this thing came up, right, even in the past with many acharyas, Ramanujacharya writing the commentary on the Vedanta Sutra.
Yeah.
Same thing with Baldev Vidyabhushan. But in our tradition, we say Srimad Bhagavatam itself is the commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, and this has been authorized by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
But the Brahmins in Jaipur didn't accept that. So then therefore Baldev Vidyabhushan had to do a Vedanta Sutra, which is basically like doing a thesis, right? I mean, you have to show that your philosophy is your interpretation of Vedanta Sutra is supported by all these different sources, like that. Yeah. So it's a big job. And then who was too old to do it? Huh? Yeah, Vishwanath Chakrabarti was feeling too old because it takes some tremendous physical and mental stamina to do this. So then Baladev Vidyabhushan was assigned to the task, and he thought, hey, I can't do this. So what did he do?
Govinda, Lord Govinda himself.
He paid his obeisance in front of Govindaji. I think he said, that story is, he said, wait, so I'm not getting up until you promise. He was hearing so funny. He said, all right, yeah, I'll do it. So yeah, we have our Bhasya, But this is, but basically all these things, as far as I can understand, these are for very intellectual, unintelligent people. Yeah. Like that. Because, the absolute truth, he has no hands, but he controls everything. He never leaves his abode, but he's everywhere. It's all like these, mental games, for people like that. Very intelligent, but not very intellectual, but not very intelligent. So on. Yeah.
Maharaj, I wanted to ask, like you mentioned in the lecture that how to present the Bhagavatam and to present the Puranas and to present Bhagavad Gita philosophy in today's time, in modern time, when there are, to the whole public, like, to the philosophers, to the general public, to the children.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, when there are so many books like, Harry Potter, Famous Five, detective novels, how do we, can you comment on how to approach to write this Srimad Bhagavatam philosophy stories which will attract the general public?
Wow. Probably many times Prabhupada talks about that, right? About who can write, who can't write. And he says, before he wrote Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj got approval, authority, permission from the deity, from the guru, from the Vaishnavas, from Nityananda in a dream. So he was convinced, that I've been authorized to do this. And then you just see, it's working, so on. So there's a lot of, I was traveling, preaching everywhere, sleeping under bushes at night, next to railroad tracks. Okay, and we're doing different things, So one time I was reading in one of Prabhupada's books, and Prabhupada says, a devotee, he can write poetry and articles for Krishna. So as soon as I read that, I thought, okay, it's right here in Prabhupada's books. I can stop all this traveling, preaching, everything else, So Prabhupada behind me, kind of in the sky, he said, yeah, we'll get to that. But right now you keep traveling and preaching. Okay, So it's super soul. Sometimes we get. Maybe it's intelligence. That's how the super soul communicates to us, is through the intelligence. Sometimes it's perverted, or sometimes it's just directly. We can tell. And then we find some confirmation. So okay, I went on preaching, traveling, and then we were doing the Brajbandhu Parikrama. I did it I stopped counting it 7 times, 8 times, stuff. So it's a whole experience, and it really intense experience, intense taste. So we're finishing the Parikrama. The last walk is from Raval back to Mathura. And so as I was walking there, I was just starting to lose all my attraction for the Parikrama. And my mind was trying to go, okay, I'll think about this, I'll think about that, different things. It was all going away, And I was just walking every step. Then I was, and then Prabhupada talked to me again. He said, okay, we've got to that now. Now it's time for you to stop all this traveling and everything else and to slow down and start doing more writing like that. Well, the Parikrama, how many times did Lord Chaitanya do it? Well, 1 time, okay. So it's like, your mind, your intelligence goes through these things. It's too fast for your mind to really be creating them. You're not imagining them. It's just like a very personal experience, So that's what happens, is that everybody has their position, and when they're supposed to start writing and doing things, and do children's books, and somebody else is authorized to write with philosophers, and but there's so many kinds of people. You need all kinds of different literature media like that. The common people do not read books. Never been that way. They watch puppet shows, they watch television, they watch movies, they see dramas. So we have to produce lots of dramas in different media, so that people can then appreciate these things then. The gopis, Prabhupada says that Nanda Maharaj could not read or write Vaishya. He said he would hire some educated fool to do it for him. See what I'm talking about? Yeah, it's a technology, Okay, he's a Vaishya. He says, okay, come here. Oh, yes, you're so wonderful, this and that. Here's a little more, do this for me, So Prabhupada says, what to speak of the girls? The girls, the gopis, of course, it's called Indulekha, which is kind of strange. But anyway, generally speaking, the gopis, milkmaids, they couldn't read or write. But Prabhupada said they would go to all the classes, they would listen to everything, and they understood everything. What is this cosmos, everything else like that. See puppet shows, So common people don't need all this, technical ability, technical details. It's for the Brahmins, like that. As soon as you become a devotee, you pretty much surpass all this. It doesn't matter what kind of body you're in. As soon as you know where you're going, it doesn't matter what kind of car you have. But if you don't know where you're going, it doesn't matter what kind of car you have. Yeah, like that. And maybe, okay, this car won't make it, so I have to change something like that. But usually, okay, it's better, whatever, this will do it. Let's get there. Yeah. So, different Puranas. So today we're also supposed to have a Vyasa Puja. Okay, Vyasa Dev ki jai. Like that. And and it's supposed to be my Vyasa Puja. Okay. But as far as I'm concerned, my Vyasa Puja means glorifying the Parampara. Okay. And so, who's the next step in the Parampara? Well, we got some people here. Okay. Like that. Even my disciples or ISKCON disciples. In our Parampara, where do we find it? Where's one list of our Parampara?
Bhagavad Gita?
Yeah. And who did that list? Huh? I think Bhakti Siddhanta, that's one list. There's a song by Bhakti Siddhanta where he goes through the exact same list. Because other other branches of our Sampradaya have different lists. Little, maybe big things, but they vary a little bit like that and so on. So is it a Diksha Sampradaya? Every single person in there was initiated with a fire sacrifice with the previous? Actually, you might go through the exact opposite and ask how many were initiated. How many Diksha links are there?
Not as many as there are.
Are there any?
Yes, of course. But
after Madhavinda Puri, Advaitacharya and Nityananda. Were they Diksha disciples? No. Okay. And then after that we get Ishvara Puri. Ishvara Puri was, I don't know if he was or why, I doubt it. He was probably a sannyas disciple. So he was the sannyas guru. Then after that, Lord Chaitanya, he wasn't initiated by Ishvara Puri as his first Diksha guru. Was he? Yeah, I guess he was. He was. But not as a Brahmin.
He was not
Actually, no, he wasn't a fire sacrifice or anything. He was already taken Diksha in that sense. It's interesting. So like that. So what kind of parampara is it? Huh? Shiksha. Yeah. But again, yata yatam yatamati. The guru is going to disciple understand, And then, we do have the formalities, which usually everybody should be initiated by a Vaishnava guru. It's pretty much, like that. Were you baptized?
Yes.
Okay. So if you get initiated in ISKCON, you'll be probably going to reinitiate you. Yeah. So we talk about reinitiation, but all of these Western disciples, and maybe all reinitiated. Probably even you take initiation in ISKCON, many Indians also already had these Gayatris. So it's a question about the Diksha, and is it bona fide, and do we need it? And sometimes Prabhupada wouldn't do it exactly, even, like especially for Brijbasis. As far as Prabhupada was very hesitant to give initiation like that and stuff, so on. Make sure it was if the parents wanted and everything else, okay, then he would give, Diksha, but he wouldn't, do it without, especially with Brijbasis. Very. So it's very interesting, Guru Tattva. The reality can be divided into 5 categories. Reality is one, but has 5 categories. What are those? Sri Krishna Chaitanya.
Expansion.
Yeah. Advaita. Yeah. Higher Shakti. Yeah. Radharani or Gadadhar. And Jivas. Narada Muni or Srivas Pandit. And that's reality. That's the Godhead. The Godhood. In Christianity, it's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So the Son, Jesus Christ, in the beginning of the Gospel according to John, it says, in the beginning was the Logos. The Logos was with God, and became man. And that's Jesus Christ. So he's the Logos. A logo is that which connects us. If you want to understand the earth, you have to have geology. If you want to understand the weather, you have to have meteorology. If you want to understand the mind, psychology. So the logo is that which connects us. Guru. So Jesus Christ is identified in Christian theologians to understand that he's the Logos. So the Trinity is God the Father, Krishna, God the Son, Jesus Christ, the Logos, Guru, and God the Holy Spirit, who's everywhere, who's controlling everything, who knows everything, but who's impersonal in that sense, which is Paramatma. Yeah, Paramatma is Krishna without Ananda. Prabhupada says that Vishnu and the Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva is impersonal Vishnu. Is Vishnu without his opulence. We don't want that yet. We just give me a little advice here, but I don't want to get anything more. Okay, I got your advice. Thank you. I'll see you later. So that's so Guru is one aspect. One aspect of all of this, and Krishna is unlimited, right? So Guru Tattva is also unlimited. Balaram is unlimited. Even is there a guru in Goloka? In Goloka, is there a guru?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. He's not in Goloka though. Radharani is not guru. She's Bhakti Shakti. Balaram. So can you give an example of Balaram acting as guru for the Brijbasis? Yeah, that's what I use. Yeah, because the Brijbasis, the Bhakti Shakti was going to go save Krishna, sacrifice everything to save Krishna from this horrible, nasty, slimy, ugly, wicked Kaliya. But what happened? Why didn't they go in the water? He stopped them. So he sacrifices his ecstasy, right, to remember Krishna's position, to keep the show on the road like that. So even in Goloka, the guru is there. So there's no limit. What is it? Balaram. What's Balaram's rasa with Krishna? Huh?
Both parental and friendship.
Yeah, what's the primary rasa? I think it's Sakya. He's a cowherd boy. They're friends, but there's some feeling of Vatsalya because he's his big brother. Okay, so Balaram has to protect Krishna from dangerous things like demons and gopis. Yeah. So he does that. Sometimes things are happening and Balaram feels that things are getting a little out of hand. Or he says, Krishna, I think it's time to take the cows home now. So Radharani and the gopis, oh, Balaram, can't Krishna stay a little longer? We'll come back tomorrow. Don't worry. You know, it's like that. You know? So he does that, you know. So he sacrifices his ecstasy, you know, to do this service like that. He's a supreme servitor form of the Godhead. When Krishna takes this form of being a servant like that, he becomes a supreme servant. Does Krishna dance with the gopis? Okay, don't tell Mother Yashoda this. Punch you in the nose. My boy's a good boy. Yeah. Does Balaram dance with the gopis? Yeah, like that. So what's the difference? This is really a subtle point.
Balaram was more like a kind of teacher for gopis.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Not a real
Some ladies want to learn to do the cha-cha or the rumba, so they go to Mr. Pepe's dance school, 3 ladies, and he teaches them. But if he's doing his job properly, he's always thinking, oh, these ladies are going to have a lot of fun with their husbands dancing at the club, and I'll show them how to do this and that. But if he's doing his job properly, he's never thinking he's going to become the husband. So Balaram never dances with the gopis with the attitude of the husband. He always dances with showing them what it's like to dance with Krishna. It's very subtle, you know. So therefore, because many Christians, they cannot distinguish between Jesus Christ and Jehovah. I mean, this just it. They're the same. You know, they really cannot understand this. What's Vidvida's brother's name? Where's that going? Vidvida, the gorilla. Minda, yeah. And how long did they live? Yeah. They were ministers of Sugriva. They were generals for Sugriva. And when they saw Ram, they thought, okay, he's Swayam Bhagavan. He's the Supreme Lord himself that we're always worshipping like that, you know. And Lakshman, what do they think about Lakshman?
Not very highly of him.
Yeah, he's someone like us who did austerities and who's got some power and stuff like that.
He was a Shesha Avatar.
Yeah, but they could appreciate God, but they couldn't appreciate Guru. That's one level of development. You know. So when in Krishna's pastimes, in Balaram showed Vidvida, you know, that Guru is just as tough as God. And so you learn something. So there are different levels of realization, you know, of these different aspects. So Guru is, when we start to appreciate Guru, we've come a long way. And appreciating the difference between God, Supreme Personality of Godhead, his expansion as Guru, and his incarnation as the Paramatma. Yeah. Yeah. Pass the talking stick. What is your good name? Your name?
Excuse me?
What is your good name?
Bhumi Devidasi.
Nice name. Wow.
Hare.
I'm Hanuman. Yeah.
Excuse me?
I'm Hanuman.
Hare Krishna, it's a very nice class.
Oh, right.
Just to back up a little bit, you were talking about the Trinity.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot of time in this past year discussing the Trinity with the local Jehovah's Witness who knocks on my door.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
And are you talking about? Are we Trinitarians? Because I keep telling her we're not, and she keeps telling me that the Trinity is not biblical.
Yeah, it's a devil's invention or something. Yeah.
Or just, it was kind of a mixture. Yes, you're right. But a mixture of different religions that form Catholicism.
Especially from these horrible Eastern religions sneaking into Christianity. That's one of the things that it came from the East. It's not.
So the theory of the Trinity is something that did come from the East.
As far as I understand, this is clearly that many Christian groups feel that the Christianity has been contaminated by Oriental ideas coming in, like that. But these are not like our pure Christian ideas, which, of course, where does that come from? Radhika Raman is a professor of comparative theology. Professor of religious studies from the College of William and Mary, like that. So we have to be very careful here talking in front of him. He's a professor of theology at America's oldest university. Like that, so we can get the authoritative argument. How many branches, divisions, and sects of Christianity are there?
I don't know the total number, Maharaj. It's in the thousands.
Yeah, the Britannica is listed something like 10,000 or something. So therefore, when we're talking about the Trinity, it's whose Trinity, and what do they mean about it?
And where does the idea come from? Because according to my Jehovah's Witness source, she says that there is no mention of it in the Bible.
Whatever little arguments, maybe you can talk a little more. Can you address this point?
I think they're right about that. There's only a few references in the Bible which could be interpreted as Trinitarian, and those are oblique. They're not direct references at all. But that doesn't say too much, because the Bible is not primarily a philosophical text. It's talking about the relationship God has to a particular people and the relationship he wants to build with them. And so much of Christian theology was built on Greek philosophy and Greek philosophical influences. And so, you can remove the Trinity and say it's not in the Bible, but then you have to remove so much else. Also, the idea of Jesus being the Logos was something that was developed as a result of Greek philosophy. Again, the seeds are there in the Bible, but the philosophy develops, being one and different at the same time, the same substance, different bodies. So a lot of Christian doctrines come from Christianity was a religion basically searching for a philosophy, and founded in the Greeks, basically.
Well, where did the Greeks get it from?
There's a strong Oriental influence in the
and even
Greeks.
Coptic Christians are very influenced by the Orient.
That is a good question. Where did the Greeks get it from?
And where are we going to find the books to discover it and dig up the bones? And Prabhupada says basically more than 2,000 years ago, everything is really very unclear in history. And my investigations is a fact. I mean, even historians will tell you that more than 2,000 years is really starting to speculate. And now, reading the Britannica and other things else, there's so much new archaeological evidence being discovered, which is shedding light upon what's going on. So the whole history of Christianity and everything else is really, it's open for a lot more adjustment about where it came from and everything else like that. Yeah.
But this idea that there was this single God in ancient Israel is not a fact. In other words, the multiplicity is coming not just from the Orient, it's also there. Because the original idea of monotheism in the Torah was that there's many gods, we only worship one of them. And that's why God keeps saying, let me be your God. I want to be the God of the people of Israel. And then only later on it sort of turns into this idea of there's one deity and that's it, absolute, which becomes more and more intense by the time of Islam.
There's also the saying of the jealous God. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. There's also, they talk about God as being jealous, meaning that, and also there's a saying that thou shalt worship God and nobody else. I forgot exactly how that verse is constructed. But anyhow, at least from what I'm getting from her is that they seem to think that that in the Catholic tradition,
but which
that
is not one tradition. In the Catholic Church also there's a lot of different traditions and lines like that. But
it started from somewhere, and then it descended into many different forms of that. I don't know if it's philosophy, but just the fact that there's God, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, and they believe that that's, I don't know, of the devil, I guess is how you put it.
Get into this, it's just as compound and complicated as getting into the Vedic culture and discussing Shaivism and all these different branches too. So the point is, a good point here, is that the basic fundamental principle involved here is science that I can know, that I can investigate and I can know. But another point is that no, I'm just like a little child, right? I have to be told. And when someone tells me how it is and takes the time and effort to be merciful and educate me, then I can know, right? And I have my potency, I can distinguish things and stuff. So that's a fundamental principle of Guru Tattva, is that Krishna comes as the aggressor and tries to give us education, like that. And so the thing is, when he comes and manifests himself before you, then if you're honest, that's how you know how it is. So all this logical argument and everything else has its value, but ultimately it comes down to the fact that God just comes and tells you there is a Trinity. You say, yes, sir. Or he says there isn't. You say, yes, sir. Because God is the all-powerful, cognizant person. So this is the point, is to try to approach all these things just by our intelligence, by our reasoning, by going back to the original books. This is, again, the same point, yata yadam yatamati, that God himself is free to do whatever he wants to. And why is he going to leave us in ignorance if we're sincere? Obviously, if we think God is some kind of incompetent person, if we really want to know what's going on, we want to act properly, then obviously he's going to come and he's going to tell us what to do, like that, you know. And so, in that sense, this is the point again: is that we're talking about Krishna as Guru. He expands himself in so many ways, to educate us like that. So, if we get too much lost in these arguments and logical perspectives and historical references, we're missing the whole point of all these things. Is that when you get on your knees and you pray to God with your Jehovah's Witness friend, and if she's sincere, everything will go away. We'll start to resolve all these problems. One time I was walking down the hill in Seattle, and two guys were walking up the hill, and they had suits on and little name tags on their chests, right? So I'm thinking, Mormons. Right? And they're looking at me walking down like this, and they're sitting there walking towards me thinking, it's a Hare Krishna. so we're, from some distance we knew this, and we're coming there finally together. So finally I stopped in front of them. I said, Hare Krishna. And they said, Hallelujah. Okay, But my karate instructor was a Mormon, so from all that, I actually went through the whole thing. It's called Baptismal Challenge. A lot of it, a lot of study of the whole culture, everything else. And so I knew what their philosophy was, and we started talking about a lot of points. And so finally, there were so many points we agree. There's one God. He's the creator of everything. He's the source of everything. He's a nice guy, this and that. In the Book of Mormon, actually it's Doctrines and Covenants, it expressly says that God doesn't want us to eat meat unless you're starving or something like that. So they had to admit that. Well, you're right, and a good Mormon does that. So finally, I gave them like a Bhagavad Gita or something. They gave me a Book of Mormon, and we're walking off, and we're thinking, well, and I was thinking, these are really nice guys, and Mormons are very nice people. And when they become a little bit more advanced, they'll be able to appreciate Lord Chaitanya, But as soon as I thought that, I'm thinking, but I know exactly what they're thinking, right? Yeah, these Hare Krishnas are very nice, a little bit more advanced. They'll be able to appreciate the Lord Jesus Christ. Okay, but before we get to that point of figuring out who's whether it's Lord Chaitanya or Jesus Christ, and Lord Chaitanya and Jesus Christ may get along very well. They may like each other very much. We have a lot of areas where we can work together, or we should work together. We both agree abortion is not a good thing. We both agree that there should be proper distribution of wealth. There's so many things where we can work together. So that's the whole thing, is how we can work together in different areas and make our investigation and praying and stuff like that. So I'm going to go on here about Guru Tattva a little bit today. Going to finish off our time thing. Our presentation is that Guru is definitely there. At least the Mormon, I don't know, the Jehovah's Witnesses, do they, oh my God, okay. Jehovah's Witnesses. Do they accept that Jesus Christ is Jehovah? Ask her that one. Okay, they got a separate, two different personalities. Yeah. Okay. Because some people, they'll tell you that nobody can know God. Nobody. You can't know him. So therefore, when he becomes a knowable form, he becomes Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is God in a knowable form. There are many, many different arguments. And our point is that no, that Guru is expansion of Krishna. Sanskrit word? Prakash. And it's a very subtle thing like that. But he's always eternally separated. He has a different function. His function is to help us to go to Krishna. And Krishna, even though he wants to be kind and merciful, he can't do it. Right? Because he has to keep the position of God, like that. So he is asking Balaram to help him out. But no, because somebody has to hold down the fort and be dad and stuff like that. And he's hoping his wife will say something, okay, she does. And then it all goes on like that. So Guru is the incarnation, the expansion of Krishna. It helps us to approach Krishna. And also in the form of Paramatma then, he's everywhere, he's all pervasive. Like right now, okay, right here, right there. Okay. After a couple hits there, Sridhar may ask me, why are you hitting me? And I will say, I am not hitting you. The stick is hitting you. Okay, Advaita. Yeah, everything is being controlled by Krishna at every moment. Everything, right? Yeah, it's just like he's whatever happens to us is that this is realizing the Paramatma, Advaita. There's no moment when we're not being taken care of, we're not being guided, and everything else. So that's a different realization, but it's a little bit impersonal, right? Krishna deals with us through a stick. That's the Paramatma feature. But once you realize that this stick, why am I suffering? Because Krishna is doing it, right? Yes, everything is happening, but how to understand what's happening with the stick, okay, like that. So how to have a relationship with the Holy Spirit, the Paramatma, and that will take us to a relationship with Guru, who's a person, okay. Then Guru Tattva has so many different kinds of expansions and categories. Basically, we usually talk in civilized life about Pat Pradarshika Guru. This is the Guru who comes and gets you on the path. You're going through the jungle trying to get to the city. He says, well, if you just walk, like 25 paces to the right, there's a pathway. Oh, thank you. So again, we gave the example of our friend Bill W., who's an alcoholic. But so many people, he told them, go to the Hare Krishna temple, it's really good food, good philosophy, everything else. So he's not qualified to be Diksha Guru or anything else, But he's Pat Pradarshika Guru. He can show us the path, like that, the process, the sadhana, the mercy. And if we do that, what's the first aspect of sadhana bhakti, Vaidya bhakti? First principle. Rupa Goswami presents 64 principles. What's the first one? Huh? Yeah, accept an acharya, like that. Everybody can see the moon, right? Okay. But if you want to see the craters and the details, you've got to have a telescope, okay, like that, so on. So you don't see something different, you see the same thing. So everybody knows God. Some people call him grandfather's son, some people call him Lady Luck. Everybody knows that there's, in a human body, everybody knows there's somebody in control of this, something like that, But then when you want to know him better, okay, then you go, to Guru, like that. So how many gurus are there? Buddha, Muhammad, Socrates, Confucius, so many people giving good cultural advice. And so you start to accept Confucius, Confucius synthesized all the previous Chinese knowledge. He was a tremendous scholar, right? He's read everything. So what he was presenting was his mature contribution to the whole thing, like that. And I don't know, does Confucius present the idea of a guru, of a divinity, a supreme person?
There's the idea of a wise man, but nothing
transcendental. Yeah. So a certain level, Brahman. Does Patanjali present the idea of a supreme lord? Yeah. It's very interesting. Yama niyama. So many things you're supposed to do and not do. So one devotee is making a whole comparison to this. The last one is, what is it? It's something about Ishvara.
Ishvara pranidhana.
Yeah. He said, what does that mean? He says, if you do engage in Ishvara pranidhana, you can forget everything else. If you just worship the Supreme Lord like that and so on. It's like this. Many cases it's there, but it's very subtle. And you have to find out what you're talking about with higher intelligence like that. Because they're bona fide, but people aren't ready. Apparently Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, the founder of Transcendental Meditation, he was with Prabhupada one time in some program. And Prabhupada said, Mahesh Yogi, in your house you are worshipping Lakshmi and Narayan. I know. I have my spies. Yeah. So why you're not teaching your disciples to also worship Lakshmi and Narayan? Then Mahesh Yogi said, Prabhupada, they're not ready. And Prabhupada said, He accepted, okay. Yeah, some people aren't ready. And so better they stop, just become vegetarian, they just do these things like that. And when they're purified like that, then they'll be ready for the next step. So, get an acharya. Acharya is somebody who follows the bona fide scripture, and he teaches his disciple to do the same thing. And different levels of acharya. You can be acharya with a little a, acharya with a big A, different things like that. But that's his first principle. Then what's the next principle he suggests? You've got an acharya. Take initiation from him. This is a formal contract. I want to be a lawyer, a doctor, or an engineer. So I investigate different schools. Finally I decide, okay, I want to be an engineer. Okay, this school's too expensive, this is too far away, this is my school. So then I go to them, okay. Are you hearing from the acharya? I'm taking shelter. But then finally I say, okay, now I want to forget this informal talk. I want to get the result now. So please, I'm surrendered. I'm your student. And that's matriculation. Okay, you have to finish this course, that course before you can become matriculated. You got to pay this. You take the lessons for 4 years. At the end of that, we'll guarantee you'll be an engineer like that. So that's Diksha. What is our contract coming from Prabhupada? You chant 16 enthusiastic rounds a day, follow the 4 principles strictly, you're guaranteed to come to the level of Uttamadhikari. That's the contract. It's a very clear, simple contract like that. So that's Diksha Guru, more or less in that perspective, the formality. And so usually the principal Diksha Guru principal Shiksha Guru becomes Diksha Guru. If somebody is giving you the path, the indications, and usually you take initiation from him and his sampradaya, his tradition. Then after that, you get instruction. So what kind of guru is it then? Shiksha, instructing guru. How many Diksha Gurus can you have? Okay, how many Shiksha Gurus can you have? Yeah, but you have to put them together in terms of different things you're trying to learn. And in terms of the Diksha Guru, he'll be indicating certain things that, this, and that. No, that's not so good, whatever. Okay, he gives us indication. The Shiksha Gurus can be more advanced than the Diksha Guru? Yeah, Rupa Goswami Rupa Goswami was everybody. The disciple can be more advanced than the spiritual master? Yes. That's in the story of Dhruva Maharaj. Prabhupada says there are many examples of a less advanced Vartmana Pradarshika, Diksha, or Shiksha Guru being taken back to the spiritual world by the more advanced disciple. Like that. But even still, there's a certain etiquette, there's a certain formality like that and so on involved like that. Prabhupada says it was a formality whether Sukadeva Goswami became the guru or Maharaj Parikshit. They both were qualified to preach, but one became the guru and one became the disciple. Like that. Yeah. So some ideas, it's unlimited, just like Balaram is unlimited, it's ever expanding. So Guru Tattva is ever expanding. But we have to find out our relationship with Guru, our relationship with the Paramatma, and then go on expanding it, increasing it like that. And then we'll be able to serve Krishna better, like that. So today is kind of like I've taken this post of Diksha Guru. I avoided it for a long time. And so finally, he said, why are you, it was actually Sup Damodar finally, he said, you're always sending everybody to me to be initiated. Why don't you do a little work too, Because it's some work. You have to keep in touch with your disciples and make sure what they're doing. It's a formality, like that and stuff, So there's work involved. And so myself, I did this. I started in 1984. That's with Raktak Das, our first disciple. And since initiating, and now if I have a list, right, disciple list, and you can just ask for the number of paragraph returns on the list. That gives you the number of disciples. I forgot it was 157 or something, 190 or something, so on. So they give initiation, Diksha. And of course, ISKCON has its own character, its own way of doing things, its own rules and regulations, And it seems that they're all within, Srila Prabhupada. So who's the founder Acharya of ISKCON? Yeah. What does the founder do? It makes the foundation. Yeah. So if you want to be a part of ISKCON, you've got to build on Prabhupada's foundation. What are some of the fundamental principles in ISKCON that nobody can change? Yeah. 16 rounds. Yeah. So people say, well, I'm following Prabhupada, but I know specifically one person, he says, I chant 16 rounds, I follow the 4 principles initiated by Prabhupada, but my disciples, they have to make their own decision. So at the time of initiation, he says, okay, how many principles are you going to follow? 3. How many rounds are you going to chant? 12. Okay, your name is so-and-so. And he says he's representing Prabhupada. So I would have a strong argument like that. This is something, a fundamental principle that Prabhupada established. There are many of them. The purpose of ISKCON is to dadati pratnigrinati, many things like that. The constitutional position of ISKCON devotees is to fight against the Buddhists and the Mayavadis. This is our constitutional position, to fight the Mayavadis and the Buddhists. Okay, where are you? But it can be a friendly fight, like that. You've had many friendly fights with Buddhists, like that. Yeah. So kind of a little bit of a suggestion. And myself, I've been doing this job, since 1984. And I'm thinking this year, maybe last year, I'm going to do it like that. Okay, somebody else can take over. Actually retiring. I was initiated in 74, November 23rd or something like that. My sannyas initiation was November 84, almost the same day. And the first time I was requested to initiate anybody was the same day, 1994. So 2004, I thought, okay, I can send my office my request to the head office to leave my body. Okay, can I come back to Godhead? So my request was rejected. But then on January 12th, which is my birthday, 2004, we started NEOS, our North American Institute for whatever. So it was impossible to avoid this. We were forced to start it on that date, and it worked out today. So I figure it's like Krishna saying, okay, this is your material body, is his organization. Okay, but just for 10 years. Okay, all right. So this next year, 2014, January 12th, my request again to go back to Godhead, right? Do we want to go? We want to leave or want to stay here? What did Maharaj Pariksit do? Could he have counteracted the curse? Huh? Did he? Why not?
He was asked whether he wants to live more at the end of 7 days.
Yeah.
He said, no, I don't want to live anymore.
I've done enough. Socrates, the same thing. Socrates could have walked out. He didn't have to take the poison. He said, the real philosopher, you can't commit suicide, but if a halfway legitimate opportunity comes along, let's get out of this place. If Krishna really has some service for us to do everything else, okay, then we're not in the material world. We're actually in the spiritual world if we're here serving Krishna. But other than that, we should always be, somebody dies in the family, everybody else is lamenting, but our point of view is, well, hey, it's not so bad. It could be. We give a big lecture on this at the medical institution twice, because the big idea of medicine is to save the life, to prolong the life. But our idea is that the doctor is to help you die. Right? The purpose of medicine is assisted death, like that. And so the doctors were shocked thinking about this. Wow, we never thought about this before. Because our whole idea is that death is the enemy. But no, it's not the enemy. It could be a very good friend, like that. So it goes into the whole thing of euthanasia and mercy killing. So that's kind of a little summary of our perspective on Guru Tattva, and Vyasa Puja means to glorify the whole parampara and try to understand our position, like that. Prabhupada says that a Kanistadhikari, Majjhimadhikari can also accept disciples, but because they're not on the highest platform there, they can't give perfect advice. So therefore, their disciples should also have the perspective of an Uttamadhikari. So before Prabhupada ever left his body, it's exactly what he was doing. Bhagavan, so many people, Prabhupada had them taking charge of people, training them, everything else, making recommendations. Somebody else was chanting on the beads, somebody else was giving the names. So a long time before Prabhupada ever left his body, he had the same system going on. But it was clear he was the Acharya, and he was the manifest Uttamadhikari. So if my Majjhimadhikari guru has some problems, I can go to the Acharya, and then he'll adjust things like that, so on. So, any questions? Koi prashna hai? Hum Hindi seekh raha hoon. Yeah, I know just enough to get in trouble, actually. Yeah.
Maharaj, very small one. When you said, and I was meditating earlier, that there's one Diksha Guru only, and while reading Bhagavad Gita, so I don't know whether Arjuna was Dikshit earlier, no?
Yeah, for sure he was. Actually, who's his family guru? Who did all
Kripacharya?
No.
Domya.
So one purport, Prabhupada says Domya was the Kula guru, the family guru for the Pandavas. He guided them in all these different rituals that were necessary. And such a family guru is practically as good as the spiritual master. Yeah. Because he's like a very elevated soul, He can maybe not be that elevated. He can do the rituals, okay, necessary. But that Domya was on a level where he was sufficiently spiritually situated to also give the spiritual instruction necessary also. Yeah.
And then he again, so Krishna anyway is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he took initiation in the battlefield there itself.
Well, he was initiation. He was put back. Yeah, he was reinitiated. Yeah. Basically, what happened? He was reinitiated because he'd fallen off the path. He became confused. What was going on? Who am I? Everything else. And so then he surrendered to Krishna, and then Krishna put him back on the path and gave him the knowledge. And how to relate to everybody else is like, it's for example myself. I was initiated in Christian tradition. So I was wondering about that because why, should I be a traitor or whatever, it was, you wonder about these things. Okay. So then I heard Prabhupada glorifying Jesus Christ from his own lips one time. And at that point I realized that even if I wanted to become a Christian, this was a place to do it because nobody knew more about Jesus Christ than Prabhupada, actually what was going on like that, so on. So that it all fell into proper, proper position like that, One devotee, he was, actually what's his name, Krishnananda Maharaj. He was in England. He left his body, I think, some time ago. No, he was Krishnananda. But he was initiated by Vaishnava Guru in India. He came to London to study engineering. He wrote to his guru. He said, "Can I take shelter from advice?" No. Can I take shelter of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami? So his guru wrote back and said, "What kind of fool are you?" He said, "Obviously, any kind of service or offer you can offer to A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami is obviously perfect. All Vaishnavas appreciate he's a great devotee. So everything becomes in position like that. And the Diksha, okay, then this also has to be figured out. We discussed this in our tradition. Diksha is not so prominent. You just got to kind of figure it out and just do it and like that. Yeah. Okay. The final question, sir. Yeah. What is your good name, sir?
My name is Narendra Bansal.
Narendra Bansal. Bansal. Yeah. He's the king of men, the master of men. Everybody, please come closer. Don't worry, we're vegetarian. Yeah. And then we'll, Narendra.
I can start asking. Okay. My question is going to be a very strange question, so
okay.
Please excuse me if I'm making some mistakes here.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, see, India is a very corrupt country.
Okay.
Yeah, and when Hare Krishna movement is there and Hare Krishna is there, why we don't have a representation of Vaishnavjan in the parliament of Lord Malai in India, so that representation can at least tell them and teach them a little bit about Hare Krishna.
Because Americans have to lead the way. And now in the U.S. Parliament, there is a Hindu Hare Krishna devotee, Tulsi from Hawaii. I would say it's just a matter of politics and number of people that are there. Why there's... how many Hare Krishna devotees are there? There's life members who maybe eat chicken, and then there's initiated devotees who follow certain principles but don't really know the philosophy very well. And there's more initiated who know the culture and can preach. So the actual number of ISKCON devotees and things like that, to actually create a constituency in one area to produce a member of parliament, I think we're getting there.
Yeah, okay. That's very good. I wish you can do it in India also.
No, in India. I mean, in India too.
I don't think you have any MP.
No, we don't. We don't.
Not have.
For example, when was Lord Chaitanya's sannyas? It was 2 years ago. The 500th anniversary of Lord Chaitanya's sannyas was like 2 years ago.
2010.
Huh? Okay, 2010. So I was invited to also make a presentation at the Bagh Bazaar Gaudiya Math in Calcutta, and I was going to make a presentation about Rupa Goswami, which I have all this knowledge. But they said, okay, as soon as we're going there for this thing, they said, but you also have to do the keynote address. Do the keynote address. All these big people are there. The governor of Bengal is going to be there. M.K. Narayanam, he's former head of the Secret Service of India, now he's governor of Bengal. He was going to be there. They wanted me to give the keynote address. Okay, like big Gaudiya Math sannyasis. And they said, well, the person who was supposed to give it, well, so-and-so, why can't he give it? He died. Well, okay. Okay, I'll accept the excuse. So I made some for organization. I gave the keynote address. I was sitting there, standing there on the stage with the governor of West Bengal, M.K. Narayan, the former governor of Bengal, Shamal Kumar Sain, 5 Gaudiya Math sannyasis, all these elevated people in the audience, and I was perspiring, like that, so on, like that, I was watching this Narayana because he had a security guard with a machine gun with him, so I was kind of watching him, And so after I finished the whole presentation, because of Prabhupada's training and knowledge and everything else, and Then he got up, and he said, I'm very ashamed. I was born in a very nice Indian family, religious family, but Hanumat Preshak Swami comes from the West, and he has so much more appreciation, understanding of our culture, our philosophy than I do. And so I'm kind of ashamed to admit this. So he said, from this point on, in front of all of you, I'm making this vow that I will spend much more serious time investigating our culture and philosophy, and especially the philosophy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And I heard that from his lips like that. And we're starting to get there. Have you ever met him? Probably you haven't. I had a couple seconds with him. Okay, so he was head of the Secret Service, everything in India, M.K. Narayanam. He has this karma that the second you come in front of him, you want to tell everything. It's just like I stole peanut butter of this thing. It's just like he has this nature. He's smiling. You feel like it's like you should tell you. That's why he became the head of the Secret Service, I guess. But he's there. So I think India, it is changing. There's Kali Yuga is advancing, in the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, and not just other people too. It's advancing. In South America, there was no vegetarianism. Forget it. You talk about even 10 years ago. It was this very violent place, many places. But ISKCON devotees have been distributing so many books and opening so many restaurants and things like that now it's there. And people are starting to think about vegetarianism, reincarnation, and so much violence. The violence has decreased so much in South America, so much. So the influences, that's why I go a lot of times there. So all over the world, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami and people were trying to sincerely understand what he's saying, and it's having an influence.
Yeah, this is a very good thing, but I'm wishing for India, where people don't know whom to select as an MP. They should understand that Vaishnav-jan makes the best MP.
Yeah.
There is no other better king than a Vaishnav-jan, but they select a Harijan who is a corrupt Harijan. It is Harijan. Harijan means Vaishnav-jan, but they interpret it Jan Hari or something. They have reversed it so much. They have scheduled caste is a Harijan. How can he be? He's in the mode of tamas.
Also, the Prabhupada points out too, this is Kali Yuga. And Krishna, Maharaj Pariksha, right? He could have stopped Kali Yuga, right? But Krishna didn't want that. So he got him out of there so that people could have what they want. But Prabhupada says it's like an umbrella, right? All around you is raining, is Kali Yuga, all these problems. But okay, you want an umbrella? No. Okay, okay. So we're creating our whole culture like that. And eventually you'll see what will happen. There'll probably be one nation or something, which is a Krishna conscious nation. And maybe that's all the world wants. And if you want it, you go there. You go there, live there. You join that religion, I don't want to hear about you. Go there. It's okay, so maybe that's what will happen, or more people want it. It depends on what people want. They have free will. So I think Prabhupada said at least 15%. If we're sincere, at least 15% of the population can be converted. But beyond that, people have their choice. You know this. Okay. So that's kind of our little humble presentation of Vyasa Puja, Vyasadev ki jai, Vishnu Chakravarti ki jai, Hanumat Swami ki jai, Sridhar Prabhu ki jai, Narendra Bhangsal ki jai. We're all a part of this. Okay. So where's our master of ceremonies? Where'd he go here? Well, there he is. Okay, he's got a microphone and everything. Wow, okay. Hare Krishna. We're on time. That's good.
Yes, Hare Krishna. I thank all of the devotees for coming today. It's a very special and joyous occasion that we are celebrating the Vyasa Puja of His Holiness Hanumat Preshak Swami Maharaj and Vyasadev, as Maharaj is saying. So we are doubly fortunate because it's a rare opportunity that we are celebrating Maharaj's Vyasa Puja in a long time. Maharaj, when was the last time we had your Vyasa Puja?
From South America, Croatia.
Okay. When was the last time we had it, San Jose, Maharaj? Your Vyasa Puja?
It was the day before we incorporated NEOS, I can tell you. So it was January 10th, 2004. 2004, January 10th.
Wow. So it's a really... it's been 9 years now. 9 years. So, and this is a very auspicious occasion for all of us. Krishna's in the Padma Purana, Lord Shiva says that Aradhanam Sarvesham Vishnur Aradhanam Param Tasmat Parataram Devi Tadiyanam Samarchanam, which means that of all the worship of Vishnu is the best, and even beyond than worship of Vishnu is worship of his devotees. So we are thankful to Krishna for giving us this opportunity to glorify Maharaj. Please, let's welcome Maharaj by saying Hari Bol! Thank you, Maharaj, for coming and giving us your wonderful association.
By chance.
We don't know about that, but we are just grateful to Krishna that you are here.
Okay. Yeah, I am too.
So the next part of the offering is that we have his initiated disciples speak first, and they make offerings to His Holiness. We request
and Vyasa
and Vyasadev and Srila Prabhupada. I'll make that, Maharaj.
I'm not going to get caught on the spot here.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you for teaching me that.
Yeah.
So we first ask his initiated disciples to come. The pattern is going to be that the devotee will be called, and the next devotee also will be told at the same time, so that he or she is ready with the offering. And we request that we keep the offering no more than 3-4 minutes, so that we can accommodate everybody. And Maharaj is also.
What baud rate?
What's that?
What baud rate?
Yeah. So, I don't know, legible baud rate. So. Yeah. So in that light, we'll without much further ado, we'll start asking the devotees. I would request Chaitanya Charitamrita Prabhu. Is he there to make his offering? Okay. Then if that is the case, yeah.
Maybe while he's coming, I'll go grab him, but we can request all the devotees to move forward.
Sure.
And
also
we're going
towards
to bring also a chair next to it, and they can use this microphone to speak.
You want? They can stand, right? Should yeah, standing is better.
Yeah.
Chair is better. Okay, chair is the general consensus. So let there be chair. So kind of thing.
There will be more
Yeah,
devotees
it's up to you. I mean,
As Vaisheshika Prabhu said, we fit 3,000 people in this room.
not at the same time. Yeah, also the other thing is, while this offerings is going on without much chaos, if you can just in a very unnoticed manner transfer all the books and the other things in front of you, so you can accommodate more space. You can give these books. Yeah. Please push it. So while Chaitanya Charitamrita Prabhu is about to come, I request Radhika Raman Prabhu to make his offering. And then while he is making his offering, if Chaitanya Charitamrita Prabhu comes back, then he will be making it. Otherwise, I'll ask Srinivas Acharya Prabhu to be ready. Okay. All right. Okay. So after Radhika Raman Prabhu, it's Panda Vijay Prabhu, and then please let's welcome His Grace Radhika Raman Prabhu. He is flown in all the way from Boise for this ceremony, and he can give the mic. Yeah, you're the mic in charge. Okay. Yeah, His Grace Radhika Raman Prabhu. I thought wouldn't need introduction, but anyway, I'll give the introduction. He is the child prodigy out of Boise, and who completed his PhD from Oxford at 22, 23, or I don't know, maybe 16, for the records. Maybe you put it as 22, because people, to make it more believable, I don't know, but 21, there you go. And he completed his PhD from Oxford at 21, and he's now a professor of religious studies at College of William and Mary, and so he's flown in exclusively for Maharaj Vyas Puja, so please.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Hanumat Preshak Swaminiti Namine. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you. There's so much I want to say on this auspicious day, to praise your wonderful qualities, to express my gratitude for all that you do, and to offer prayers for my own progress in Krishna consciousness. And yet I realize that I need not say everything on Vyasa Puja day, for the real Vyasa Puja means following the instructions of the spiritual master throughout the year. That is something I'm still trying to accomplish, and so here I will try to be brief. Gurudev, one of the things I appreciate most about you is that you are a living example of Srila Rupa Goswami's nectar of devotion. In your words, your behavior, your moods, and your plans for serving Krishna, we can see proof of the process that Rupa Goswami describes. Whenever some question arises in my life, does this process of Krishna consciousness actually work? What should I do to make further progress? How do I overcome this problem? All I have to do is look at your example, and immediately everything is clear. Yes, here's what I need to do to make further progress. Yes, here's the solution to my so-called problem. Yes, here's the living example of the science of devotional service. I have a strong tendency to operate on the mental platform, but by seeing your example and remembering your instructions, I am immediately reminded that Krishna consciousness is simple, straightforward, and practical. I just want to give a few examples of this wonderful gift that you have given us. On the urgency of Krishna consciousness, I remember a couple of years after initiation, I wrote a letter to you with an update of my recent activities. At the end of the letter, as a matter of formality, I expressed my regret that I have no taste for chanting the holy name. Your reply changed the way I saw devotional service. You ignored the main body of my update and focused on my half-hearted complaint. You have been chanting now for how many years, you asked? Why is there no taste? Let us discuss this matter further. I realized then that advancing in Krishna consciousness is not something that can be left as a distant goal. It is immediate and urgent. Srila Prabhupada promised that we can go back to Godhead in this life, and Rupa Goswami charts our path step by step. So we had better be making measurable progress right now. On seeing everything in relation to Krishna. Last year when you arrived at Richmond Airport, we were walking to the car. Out of the blue, you pointed at a large pillar and exclaimed, "Where's your God? Is he here?" I struggled to remember Krishna while standing in the temple, but even an ordinary pillar reminds you of Lord Nrsingadev. If this is not Krishna consciousness, then what is? On feeling Krishna's presence at every moment, I remember riding back to the temple with you one night in Peru. We had just finished a long, intense day of programs. We mostly rode in silence until you said, "Today Krishna will go looking for the Syamantaka jewel," and became silent again. I thought about this for a couple of minutes. Was today a festival on the Vaishnav calendar? Then I realized that you were referring to the next chapter in your own reading of Krishna